the end of Super Bowl week. It's Super Bowl Sunday, in fact, but the NBA stole most of the headlines throughout most of the week. I guess you can call me cautiously optimistic. Hello and welcome to The House That Happens, sponsored by Shoes Bar Grill, the only place to be in suburban Etobicoke. Voted 4 times the best dive bar in all the GTA. Number 1 in our hearts, the Phoenix rising from the ashes. Opening the spring are here. Hello, I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name's Cruz. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How about yourself?
I think it's pretty good. It was an interesting week for the country, and I guess that when you look at the situation as it is, because we're not spending a lot of time to talk about it, but our country is in a weird position, and I guess we could say that I'm cautiously optimistic about what's going on. And first of all, I want to shout out loud and clear, I am proud to be a Canadian, and I only want to be one.
Absolutely. So my grandparents came here. They signed up for Canada. That's what I'm here for.
My father was American, so I can't hate on Americans. And when I was 18, I had the opportunity to go for a dual citizenship. So I looked at my dad and I said, you never got a Canadian citizenship because you said to be so proud of your country, right? And he goes, yeah, so what's your point? He goes, well, I'm Canadian. I don't need the American. Dumbass as I was.
Yeah, you should have gotten it.
I should have gotten it. As you was turned 18 and your father's American and especially was in the service, I blew it off. I'm Canadian, Dad. Remember, you're American. You taught me that. July 4th, fife and drum. Be proud of your country. I'm never prouder to be a Canadian than I am right now.
Absolutely.
Just want to put that out there. Yep.
Same here. We'll get, I guess, right to shout-outs.
Well, the first shout-out we should have is to a great Canadian ambassador who I love to death, and I still hope when the CBC gets abolished, they use it with a stamp of his
Don't
face.
abolish the CBC.
Well, cut it down.
No, I think they actually need to invest more money. I think that's the big problem is that it's been too many cuts, but that's neither here nor there.
I say they take out the whole hierarchy and put a brand new one. I would only go there completely. Anybody involved in the hierarchy, get rid of the whole gang and start all over. But
I think the problem with CBC is they made it less local, which, anyways.
I'll tell you why, but that's another story for another debate. So I'm going to bring up a great Canadian ambassador who this week we cannot be ever remiss to wish Don Cherry happy birthday, 91st birthday this week to Mr. Don Cherry, who every Canadian misses on Coach's Corner on a Saturday night.
At least 50%.
Whatever the case may be, I'm in Don's corner. Don, very, very happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Grapes. I'd like to shout out a bachelor party I went to on Sunday for one of my best friends, Marco Giovanetti. We went go-karting at K1, and then we went back to his place for a LAN party. Do you know what a LAN party is?
Not sure.
So it's when you hook up a bunch of computers, or in our case, video game consoles. We actually had 2 original Xboxes, like the old school ones from early 2000s hooked up.
I wish you'd have told me I had an extra one in my house.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, controllers were an issue anyway, so we were maxed
5.
out. Oh, my God.
I could have helped you out. It's in a box in my garage.
Next time. Yeah. But that was a lot of fun. It was reminded me of have you ever seen Step Brothers?
Yeah.
There's a line in that movie where it's like, could you imagine if we had these when we're 12? Even better. We have them when we're 40.
Yeah.
I said that at the party. That got a laugh. But,
that's a great line.
Yeah.
Really, really good line. No doubt about it.
Actually, at K1 as well, I was in the washroom. I was washing my hands. There was a kid next to me washing his hands as well. And he's complimented the Ferrari track jacket that I'm wearing now. And I'm like, oh, I like your Red Bull shirt, right? And he's telling me him and his brothers, all 4 of them are named after racing car drivers.
That's pretty badass.
So he's Jensen. He has an older brother, Ayrton. He has a younger brother, Max. And then I forgot what he said the other brother was, but I'm like, wow, that's a crazy racing family. Sorry he drew the short straw getting Jensen, but
there's got to be a sense of haha about this anyway. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But that's pretty cool.
That is very cool. But K1, we had a lot of fun. We did the cam footage for the last race. I finished 4th. I was battling for my life that the last 5 or 6 laps of that race.
And there was stimulants involved in all of this, of course, right?
Especially after once we got back to their place for the LAN party.
Yeah.
His mom prepared a ton of food for us: pasta, pizza, sausage.
Shout out to
the
moms.
Works. Yeah, it was the best.
Great. Glad you guys
time.
had a good time, and we're going to say we hope he has an excellent future.
Absolutely. He's getting married in April. I'm in the wedding party, so it should be a fun weekend for that.
Excellent. I think it would be remiss if we didn't do a shout-out to whatever you think of royalty, but Prince Harry continuing to promote on the highest level the Invictus Games. Mm-hmm. I think we should shout out to that.
Yeah, being hosted in Vancouver, Whistler.
Yeah, in Whistler. So once again, whatever you think about that stuff, people do good things. And the Invictus Games is a great thing, and Prince Harry being a huge driving motivator behind it. Big shout out to him.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
And all the athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. Great idea. Just a good, positive event, which we are in desperate need of.
Yep.
I'd like to shout out Alexandra Mitchell treating us to the Marlies game yesterday I believe that was our Christmas present. Just had a great time there. Unfortunately, they lost to Laval 3-2 in the shootout. 2 fights in the first 4 minutes of that game. So something must have happened the night before.
So was Aberjacky's brother involved in any of those scraps?
Yes, he was. And Kyle Clifford was in one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah.
He got a big applause when he was announced in the starting lineup. I guess because he's one of the few guys that was had a decent NHL career, right?
Yeah, and he's still plugging away. Give a guy his props.
Jacki and there's a guy Solo on the Marlies. They're actually each 1 assist away from a Gordie Howe hat trick.
That's always interesting.
Yeah.
It looks good in the.
I'd rather have a regular hat trick or a goal and 2 assists, but that's neither here nor there. But
and the box score shows it all.
Yeah, there you go.
Box score shows it all. Yep. I want to shout out to because everyone.
Oh, and sorry, and they also brought us back to their place for pizza and the Leafs game. We had a good time there.
Wow,
plenty of fun.
Calories galore. I love that. I'm trying to put a few pounds on myself, so every time I hear that, I go, "Yeah, that's really good."
And there was an awesome. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
There was an awesome guy at one of the beer stands. It's hilarious. Just oh, come on here, go beer. One of those guys.
Oh, too much. That's great. That's old school.
Yeah.
Old school. That's good. Speaking of beer, if you don't watch golf at all, it's going to be a guy by the name of Dietrich who's pretty good. The leaderboard's a little shaky right now. He's got a 5-stroke lead going into the final round. But the Waste Management Tournament in Phoenix, previously known as the Phoenix Open, is one of the most fun golf tournaments that you could ever want to watch on television. It's actually entertaining. You don't see a crowd engaged like that, except they say they compare it to the Canadian Open. They say the only atmosphere that they've seen in the last few years that comes close to that. So shout out to us Canadians.
Yeah, last year that was an epic crowd.
Oh yeah, well they were saying that again because where is it this year? It's in
the Canadian Open.
Yeah, it's somewhere in the GTA. In any event, I forget the golfer. I forgot his name now. If you get to see the 16th hole and they try to get a hole in one, you miss the putt. People telling you suck and all this stuff, and that's where there's a big beer stand there. So if he said he missed the putt, I think I told you. He threw golf balls wrapped with $15 into the crowd.
That's awesome.
Here, buy a beer. Beer on me. Beer on me. Beer on me. But it's a really great atmosphere. If you're not really a golf person, you'd really get a kick out of the Waste Management Open.
Absolutely. Shout out to Simona Halep, retiring from tennis at the age of 33. She won the 2018 French Open and 2019 Wimbledon. Had fallen a little bit recently, I think, due to injuries, but obviously 2 majors, 2 Grand Slams speaks for itself, and we wish her the best in her next chapter in life.
Yeah, and I hate to bring this up, but I seen an interview with her and how she got suspended for using something to improve on injuries, and that may have affected her time getting back and stuff like that. It's really weird how they do things in tennis, how they decide you're going to do this, that, and the other thing, but I think she had a solid career. God bless her, and we're going to miss her.
Absolutely.
We're going to miss her. Mm-hmm. Want me to go ahead?
Sure.
We got to shout out to Hubie Brown, who called his last basketball game for the Bucks and Sixers at 91 years old.
Wow.
Called his last game. He's been calling basketball. I can't remember not seeing Hubie Brown. When I was a kid, he was coaching and stuff then, back in the day. But, I can't remember that guy not. He's like one of the Gumballs or a Howard Cosell or, all those great guys, a Madden. Maybe we don't talk to him on that level. But to be still doing games at 91 years old, he just retired. Unbelievable. Huge shout out to Hubie Brown.
Absolutely. Also a big shout out to Vic Vitale making his return to the broadcasting booth. He had a battle with cancer. And his 4th bout with cancer.
Huge shout out.
He's one of my favorite commentators all time.
Oh, yeah, and it's good. And they say he's getting better, which tells me I thought it was really cool to see Randy Moss yelling out from the awards show the other night, said, I'm going to Moss this cancer, and he looks great, and it looks like he's on the other side. So let's give a big shout out to Randy Moss, too.
Absolutely.
I got a shout out. I went to see Becoming Led Zeppelin the other night.
Oh, I want to see this.
It's on the IMAX. Okay, everyone knows I'm a Zeppelin disciple. I had the privilege of seeing Led Zeppelin, all of the above. If you are even a modicum of a Zeppelin fan, especially if you go see it in IMAX, and we were down up close.
It's IMAX only.
Oh, yeah, right now, but it will be. If you see the opening alone, I got chills because it just, the sound, the effort. I knew a lot of it. I knew a lot about the history of Led Zeppelin before I got there, and the way they went through it was really, really cool. I'm not going to say anything about it. Go see it yourself. I'm going to just put it this way. I can't wait to see it again.
Awesome.
Can't wait to see it again.
Hopefully I'm going to go see it on Tuesday, but we will see.
I'm going to take Gail.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
We'd like to wish Virginia McCaskey and her family the best. She is dead at the age of 102, the owner of the Chicago Bears, the daughter of Bears founder and NFL co-founder George Hallis.
Yes.
Yes. Imagine this is a bit of a bittersweet moment for Bears fans. She had obviously been kind of a controversial figure, especially the last 30, 40 years, I'd say.
Oh yeah, and it's she's kind of got the aura of what happened when the Fords, before Sarah Ford Ham took over. Like they're wondering if there's going to be a transition that way because of her old school views and whatever. But what she's contributed to football and her family cannot be underestimated, or it's almost immeasurable. Chicago Bears.
Yep. A
vital part of the history of the NFL. So condolences to her and her family.
Absolutely.
I got a shout out to, was fortunate enough to take my granddaughter and her girlfriend to Classic Albums Live at at Roy Thompson Hall to see the Beatles' Revolver.
Oh, wow.
They're only 18 and everyone knows I'm old. They both thoroughly enjoyed it. And then, of course, they came back and did a set of Beatles tunes, if you know anything about it. The reason I brought it up is we were outside talking to some people during the intermission. I got to say this. We're not going to have a lot of legacy bands left anymore. And if you really, really like an album and you see Classic Album Live doing it, go see it. I think this is my 10th Classic Album show. And I've not seen one that I didn't say, wow, this is amazing. Just put it this way. When you hear Eleanor Rigby, when you hear that recording, I cannot believe the replication that I heard on Friday night was absolutely stunning. Can't say more about Classic Albums Live. Get your ass out there and see it.
So are you a Revolver, a Rubber Soul, or a Sgt. Pepper guy?
I'm more of a Rubber Soul guy. But people remember then, after Rubber Soul, they said, no more touring. We're going into the studio. So this is their first step in advancing the progression of how they make records. But to me, Rubber Soul, I remember when I got it for my birthday, I was like 13 or 14. I couldn't believe how earthy the album sounded. Like, go back and listen to Rubber Soul. It's only like 34 minutes or whatever. It's just a great album. But to follow it with Revolver, then follow it with Peppers, whew, what a legacy the Beatles have. But I'm a Revolver guy. Great album. She Said, She Said. One of my favorite songs of all time. So it was a good show.
Awesome. Going back to football, a big shout out to Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, and Sterling Sharp for getting into the Football Hall of Fame.
All of those guys were great, but I'm really glad you brought it up because I made notes here, okay? Can I say something about Sterling Sharp? Have you seen anything about him? And the Green Bay fans went crazy. Everyone knows I'm a disciple of the Detroit Lions. So last time I checked, Green Bay's in our division. I've seen a lot of Sterling Sharp. This guy was like a combination of, say, DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams.
Wow.
The guy was wide. He was big. You know why he had to retire? He cracked a vertebrae in his neck. He had, at one time, he broke the record for receptions in a season back in the day. And this is late 80s, early 90s, people. If he was playing today, he'd get 150 receptions. I really agreed with Shannon Sharp when he got his Hall of Fame induction, and he said, I'm the second best player in my family. This might be a bold statement, but if I had to take Sterling or Shannon at the apex of their career, I'm taking Sterling. Guy was a beast.
Got his Super Bowl, right, with the Packers?
No. And by the way, see some of his quarterbacks? One of his quarterbacks was Andrew Milani. His other quarterback was Jack Cruz. He got Favre. And he had Don Majinkowski, who was the Magic Man, but he got beat up. He didn't last too long. So considering at the time, the era, who was playing, look back on the guys there. The only one, at the time, I was arguing he could be as good as Jerry Rice, because that was his contemporary. So think about that. It's contemporary. And not only that, people remember this. And this is why these AP voters and stuff. He was voted in by the Veterans Committee. Yep. Which is kind of like the thing they do in baseball because when people aren't smart enough to figure it out. The problem with him was they said played 8 seasons. Okay? 3-time All-Pro, 5 Pro Bowlers. Okay?
Back when the Pro Bowl meant something.
There you go. Gale Sayers only played 8 years. Terrell Davis only played 8 years. So I guess they're starting to realize the impact of your career in that time should be respected. And I think all the other guys too. Jared Allen, Eric Allen, that guy was great. And Antonio Gates was a gimme.
Oh, 100%.
You know what I mean? So, and all the other guys that didn't get in, that should have been first ballot Hall of Famers, I'm not going to mention any names. The reason you're not first ballot Hall of Famers is because I think it was Pat McAfee that very succinctly explained how it works. Your Hall of Fame, your first ballot Hall of Fame, or as you like to say, Hall of Fame of the very good. You don't get in.
Hall of very good, yeah.
Hall of very good. You're there. So then you go to the next level and you get in. You're deserving. Like Jared Allen. He was a great defensive end. It took a while, but he got there in the pecking order. So you got that. They shoved that room in Canton where it says first ballot Hall of Famers. That's just a step above. It's like any team you're on. There's always that guy. You're great. Like Gretzky and Curry. Curry's great. He probably was the first ballot Hall of Famer, but you know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? But that's the way it's looked at.
Well, Gretzky, they entirely skipped the waiting period for him.
That's the only guy in history of sports.
That's not true.
Who else?
There was a bunch of Hall of Famers for hockey. Gordie Howe, Bobby Orr, Lemieux.
They all got skipped?
Yeah, but they said Gretzky would be the last time they ever do that.
Yeah, they should. It should just.
There was a bunch I want to say that it's like a list of like 8, 9, 10, somewhere around that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I wonder if John Belleville was one of them.
Possibly. I'd have to double check that though. Either way, also a big shout out to the Humber Hawks. Women's volleyball and men's basketball both finished with perfect 18-0 records on the regular season.
Big shout out to Humber.
Yeah.
Humber House. Happens.
Men's volleyball, women's basketball, 16-2 and 14-2 respectively. Volleyball teams each won their first playoff matchups yesterday, a perfect 3-0 sweep. And then for men's basketball, or I guess women's basketball as well, they both beat Sheridan on Wednesday, their hated arch rival. I had the pleasure to call that game. The men's team had these awesome Black History Month jerseys that they put up for auction. I got beat at one of them at the last minute.
Oh, boo.
Oh, I was upset about that.
Oh, that's a drag. That's really cool they did that.
Yeah, because I'm like, I wanted a Humber jersey. I'm like, this is a limited time one. That's cool. Let's put it a bid in. Last minute. Damn it.
Oh, boo.
Yeah, but Humber's men's basketball looks like, I don't want to jinx them, but could be on track for a very good spot in the national championship, put it that way.
I hope you let him know the only reason I didn't get to that game was because I was at
the Led Zeppelin movie?
Zeppelin movie, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any more shout-outs?
That's it for me.
Okay, I got one little concept that we should talk about really quickly because we're talking about the Four Nations coming up. The national anthems and situations, how it's becoming a foil
right.
and stuff like that. I seen a thing by George Strombo, and he was talking about what makes you Canadian. How are you Canadian? All this other stuff about Canadian. And, of course, the Tragically Hip came up, and Gord Downey, and all the things that they did to promote Canadiana. And like I said at the beginning of the show, how proud I am Canadian. So I have a new idea. So, since everybody's worried about playing the national anthem, from now on, from coast to coast, from 1 year, every time a hockey game starts, they play Grace 2 by the Tragically Hip. No national anthem, we'll just play Grace 2. I've always called it the second national anthem, and if you don't know the song Grace 2 by the Tragically Hip, go to your Spotify, Podbean, wherever you go, press play, and I'm going to start here from the house that happens. If we have any more problems with national anthems, and we know what's been going on with them lately, we'll just play Grace 2. And that's a beautiful thing. Grace 2, correct? I am Canadian. I'm going to vouch for that.
I think I know that song.
Oh, I'll play Grace 2.
Okay.
My son, out of nowhere, was in Mexico, in Cancun. And, of course, he was yucking it up to a scale of 9 out of 10. I mean, out of 10, he was going about 17. Middle of the night, I get a text. Dad, isn't Grace 2 the greatest song of all time? And I go, yeah, it's a great song. In any event, check it out. It's very cool. It'll be a great national anthem.
Absolutely. Ready to move on?
Yeah.
We'll take this to college hoops, where I know you have something to say about potentially fraudulent SEC teams in the top 25 of the AP rankings.
Okay, so how am I going to say it? I don't want to belittle what's going on in the SEC. Now, what happened here to my, so anyways, the SEC's got a lot of teams in the top. The top teams as of yesterday were number 1 Auburn, Alabama was in 3rd, Tennessee was in 4th, and we had Florida in there. So what ends up happening here? Maybe the SEC is just going to beat the hell out of each other, and they may be better than we thought because
Texas A&M's in the top 10 as well.
Texas A&M and their coach Bud. I always telling you people now, watch who's coaching teams and where they're playing. But yesterday, look what happened. Florida went into Auburn, kicked their ass. Both SEC teams. Tennessee won. Alabama won. They went into Arkansas, who had just beaten Kentucky, and Kentucky lost again, who's another SEC team. And Texas A&M, like you said, is climbing up the board. They had a big win yesterday. So I'm thinking at the when we see the rankings come out tomorrow on where it's going to be, I don't know who's going to be in first, because what has happened here is Auburn has only lost one game, and they just happened to lose it to Duke, who was number 2. And they lost out in one of those tournaments early in the year. When you're playing in November, December, it's different than playing February. You know what I'm saying? But here's the thing, too. Duke got roughed up by Clemson, even though the game was in Clemson. So obviously there's going to be some alteration at the top. I'm not sure is it going to be. It's going to be Tennessee come to the forefront. They're 18-4. I'm just saying that I thought, because it's all football schools, I always like to say football schools don't win championships. But the great thing about it, people, is take a look. You got Auburn, Alabama, Florida, Texas A&M, Tennessee. All of those teams are playing each other in the next 2 weeks. And some of them are playing each other back to back. And you got to put Kentucky in there, because some of them have got to go to Kentucky. So I don't know if they're going to be fraudulent or not. I thought they got too hyped, but the games are very intense. So I think in the next month, it's going to shake itself out, because we're a month away. Well, middle of February, they'll be talking about the tournament.
Sure.
So it should be quite interesting along the way. And anyway, my team, Michigan, crawled back into the top 25, and they're winning. And the Big Ten,
number 24 right now.
Yeah, and the Big Ten is starting to show their muscle too, because Michigan State's moving up, Wisconsin's playing very well, and Purdue is also somebody got to look at. But I said before last week on the show, and I'm going to stick with this, I kept talking about St. John's and Marquette. Well, Marquette's kind of fallen down on me. They've lost 2 in a row, and Memphis is still going there. But one of the reasons I say about it, I'm talking about coaches, is it's interesting how sports moves in this way. Everyone knows who Rick Pitino is. When I first started watching the tournament 40 years ago or whatever, he took Providence to the Final Four. When it's like young coach, got him to the Final Four kind of deal, right? And we know his history along the way, right? We know he's had good times and bad times, but he's in St. John's in New York City. They have not lost at Madison Square Gardens. The Big East tournament is where?
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. They won again on the weekend, and they've beaten there. I think now St. John's is number 12.
Yes, they are.
They will be in the top 10 next week, no doubt about it. And here's another thing to remember about the coaches, and that's why I don't know if Tennessee will move up, because Bruce Pearl's kind of this way too. It's like when you're in a horse race. You don't take the whip to the horse till you get to
the final stretch.
The final stretch. And that's Pitino coaching, and his patterns running up. Plus the fact that St. John's is a school that's been trying to get back to relevance for years.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time.
Do you know the money that's been pouring into St. John's? Oh, my God. This is something Pitino must have dreamed of 40 years ago. He's got all the resources in the world. He was not hired to win the Big East. This guy's to get him into the dance.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going to get him into the dance. And I'm looking at their team. We'll see where they go for the rest of the season, because their schedule will not be as vicious as the SEC playing each other, and even some in the Big Ten. So what's going to happen is those guys are going to knock each other down. St. John's going to move their way up, which is sometimes why I think the rankings are a bit fraudulent at times.
Well, don't they take strength of schedule into consideration?
Yes and no, but they change because there's a game every week. You know what I'm saying? And there's 2 games every week. And the fact that they're playing each other, and all these teams are in the top 10. And don't forget about Ole Miss. Sure. Ole Miss, another team, is coming up there. So it should be interesting. This could be the most wide-open tournament that I have seen in years. You know what I mean? And even the defending champion, UConn's sticking around. They're at 19. And they still got to play St. John's, and they're in the Big East. Mm-hmm. Creighton is a team that always seems to show up. They beat Memphis.
They're number 2 in the Big East.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And they're not even ranked yet.
Yep.
So it just tells you the balance of the voters and what do they think of conferences. But I guess that's enough about college basketball. But it is getting...
Well, you also want to mention Virginia Commonwealth.
Oh. There's always a small school that comes out of nowhere. Virginia Commonwealth won again yesterday, beating their competition by 20, 25 points a game. Once again, back with check the lineups. Another bit of advice is how many seniors and juniors you have on your team. Now, I got the guy's name wrong. It's not Mitchell. It's Wright. The kid that played with Flag and Duke on Baylor. That's a very good coach, too. Nobody's talking about Baylor now. They're coming on a run because he's the rookie and he's playing with seniors. So I think it took a while for the team to meld, so to speak.
Right.
But, yeah, they were there. And you know how smart Vegas is? I'll show you my tickets yesterday, okay? I played a bunch of college basketball tickets, and they're over there. See them on there? They're all now, my dog can chew them up or do whatever. I had a 16 parlay. Got 5 out of 6. Okay, so Cruz, everyone gets 5 out of 6. No, this is what Vegas is, okay? Mississippi State was favored by 1.5 over Georgia in Georgia. I said, well, it was a Mississippi. In any event, I said, I'll take the 1.5. They won by a point. Won by a point. I'm just looking at it. It wasn't a lot of money, $2 bet. Gonna win my $70, whatever.
Sure.
But that's how slick Vegas is. The spread is 1.5. And I took the 1.5. They won by 1. Oh, well, that's college basketball. Keep your eyes on it. There's some great games. Great games.
Ready to move it on?
Yes, it is. And I think you should be paying attention because you will be responsible for the House That Happened card that goes into the tournament this year. So I'm going to put your name on that card. I'm going to let you pick it all by yourself.
Oh, my God. It's a lot of pressure.
Nah, you listen to the master.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
We'll move us on to Major League Baseball where, the Jays' bridesmaids once again, Pete Alonso brought back to the New York Mets on a 2-year, $54 million contract.
Once again, the Toronto Blue Jays, the greatest bridesmaids of all time, pushed up the Alonso money again. So I'm not going to tell you all the players because it'd be beating a dead horse.
You know the players.
We got it. Now, it's even funny. So I picked up my annual Lindy's Baseball annual again. Their prediction for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Keeping the print industry alive.
Thank you very much. Someone's got to do it. We're growing enough trees, I believe. In any event, to make a long story short, the Toronto Blue Jays are predicted to come last in the American League East.
Can't say I'm shocked.
No, I'm not either. And they're really kicking the shit out of the
Mind you, they probably didn't have Scherzer and Santander on the Jays in this.
No, so that's what I'm saying. It's a little bit foggy at the time. But we've got some issues coming up here, okay? Once again, with the pitching we have, and it's all about the pitching and defense metrics. I like what we were saying off air at the production meeting where you said, we can't win every game 2-1. We're going to lose as many 2-1s as we win 2-1s, and it's really important that we get the bats in the lineup. But I think our defensive metrics will be solid to back the pitching, which seems to be improved now because we got 5 or 6 starters coming into camp that could be in the rotation.
But what else did I say in our pre-show meeting? I would take a guy that's not very good defensively with a great bat over a guy who is a great defender with a not-so-good bat.
Varsho.
Yeah, there we go.
Varsho. Yeah.
Throw Teoscar in that pile.
Okay, and Teoscar, of course. What you're getting at, and I totally agree with, is this. You got to have a modicum of bat in your lineup if you're going to win, and especially if you're playing in the American League East.
Batting and pitching, that's where 90% of the game is.
There you go. And they say the pitching is more, and I'm glad that we got it. But like you say, we got to have some bats. We got to protect them.
There you go.
But the real issue with the Toronto Blue Jays is I'm comfortable with their pitching, and if they come out of it. Now, we're going to know in the first month. You see their schedule in the first month? It's Baltimore, Yankees, Houston.
Yep.
Who else? Mets. All in the first month, I believe, something like that. So we're going to have to show our mettle right away, or we could be well under 500 before May 1st even comes around. So we have to be careful there. But the biggest thing now coming to the Blue Jays camp, and I'm just starting to get panicked now, is you guys heard the word from Vladdy, right?
But what?
If I'm not signed by opening day, don't talk to me for the rest of the year about contracts.
Right.
You know, I mean, where is that getting at? Which makes Toronto one of the most unique cities in North America to have stars of top 10 level in their leagues and going to free agency. Mitch Marner. You know what I'm saying? Like Toronto.
Well, Mitch Marner we'll see. But
no, but I'm saying it's interesting. So I had someone point that up in Toronto. Like, I mean, our sports teams are as valued as they are. We have superstars on 2 teams that we don't even have protected. Mm-hmm. Kind of weird. But like I said, I'm hoping the pitching gets us going.
I think we're kind of comparing apples and oranges there, though.
In a bit.
Yeah.
A bit. But don't you think that's alarming? Like, and nothing's been said in the Bo's camp about any contract whatsoever. You know what I mean? And I know Bo's probably got something to prove.
Yeah.
But this 100%. Is a scary situation. Like, I mean.
The Jays are really playing with fire here.
No doubt. And how far do you think this will set the franchise back if it implodes?
Oh, that's another like at least 5 years of rebuilding at least.
Wow. That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah, me too.
And who's going away in our division? Yankees just won it, went to the World Series. Baltimore's Baltimore.
There.
I'm liking the fact that Baltimore, I think, did not do enough, but we'll talk about that in the baseball.
They still got a young core with a lot of prospects. So
there you go.
So I wouldn't exactly count them out. Boston's still going to be there. That is a surprising season last year. I think they can build on that. And Tampa Bay, you can never count them out.
And Boston's added some pieces this year, which we'll talk about in the baseball preview. So we're cautiously optimistic.
Yes.
Talking about the Toronto Blue Jays and their pitching staff. But right now, I'm not saying the situation is grim, but I'm not saying it's all roses either.
No.
Wouldn't it be great, though, if they just signed him? Just sign Vlad.
Oh, my God. I would love that. I've been saying this for a couple of years now.
Remember last year when they didn't do it and they had the chance to get him for $350 and something balked there?
I don't know.
We'll never know. There's somebody behind the curtains. It could be an agent. I don't know. In any event, sign those guys. You know, if we have anything. Especially Vlad. You know what I mean? I think he's going to have a bigger season because it's obviously Santander's going to hit behind him.
I hope so.
That's the way it's going to go. In any event, congratulations for Toronto Blue Jays for being the greatest bridesmaids I've ever witnessed in the history of my life.
What do you make of Kevin Kiermaier getting hired by the Jays as an outfielder coach?
I think that's great. You know what I mean? I mean, look at his defensive metrics are outstanding. And, you know, it's all about your first step. You know, your first step to the ball, tracking.
Yeah, making sure you take that right pass.
Yeah, and all that stuff like that. Are you listening out there, sluggers? How many times I've seen you guys make your first step wrong?Maybe I'll bring Kiermaier to a sluggers practice.
There you go.
I think it's a great idea. He likes the city. You know what I mean? He wants to contribute. You know what I mean? I don't think he's retired officially now. Right?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, okay. But he'll be good because look at some of our outfield. No, we've got a pretty good defensive outfield, but a couple of kids that might make it.
Well, a couple of the guys who are maybe like platoon guys or fill-ins could use some work. So,
hey, try to get better every day.
Exactly.
Is that what they say? Good luck to the Blue Jays. Oh, there was another signing again, right? I'm missing a signing. Did LA steal somebody else again?
I know. I saw memes about the Dodgers and Lakers stealing players, but I don't know if it was any true ones. More on the Lakers later, of course.
Oh, yeah.
But for the Blue Jays, pitchers and catchers report on Wednesday. The full team reports on February 18th.
I love that day. It's one of my favorite days of the year. You know why? Because that means most of winter is over my shoulder. The snow I had to shovel this morning. Damn.
Yeah, we got a dump in here last night.
Yes, we did. But we're good. We're surviving. It's all good. Super Bowl Sunday.
Absolutely. We'll move us over for now, at least to the PWHL, where Toronto beat Ottawa 4-2. Blair Turnbull, the captain of the team, scored 2 goals and added an assist. And Toronto's now back in a playoff spot.
100%. So we got to give them credit because, remember, it's just a couple of shows ago. I wasn't even giving them the time of day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I'm going, why am I watching this? What's going on?
I think they're listening to us.
Perhaps, maybe. You know, because we're
can't wait around for Natalie Spooner. That's what we're saying. And all of a sudden they pulled up their socks a little tighter, you know?
Yes, it is. And you know what? I'm really liking the fact, and we should do it before the year is out. We should say we're going to do it. I'm working on the Brampton tickets, though.
Nice.
In any event, the crowds have been good. The support's been good. That's number one. You know what I mean? What do they have? 320,000 games in the last month. I think I mentioned last week.
Yeah, it's Scotiabank. Yeah.
Yeah, like around the league. 3 games in the last month that they've had 18,000 plus crowds. That's just amazing. And I've also noticed, maybe it was just me, but the last time I seen Toronto play, I was always talking about the sluggish nature of the game. Actually, they picked it up a little bit. So maybe we're getting into the season. We're going to get a nice run down there. They're not comfortably in the playoffs, but
they're there. Something to build on.
Something to build on, and they've got, 14 more games to go, I believe it is. 13.
15. I think they're exactly
15?
halfway through.
Halfway through. Good luck to our girls, the Scepters, and we want to see you in the playoffs.
And hopefully Natalie Spooner can come back because that would be a big, big boost for the squad.
Huge. Especially since they've been treading water this long without her.
Yep.
You know?
They have a home stretch this week, a couple games versus Minnesota on Tuesday and versus Boston on Friday. So hopefully they can take care of business there. Minnesota's going to be a tough out, though.
I was going to say, Minnesota.
Number 2 in the league.
Yeah, them in Montreal. Every time you see them, they look like superior teams. But this is your chance. Beat who's in front of you. You know what I mean? You've improved play. Their goal differential's gotten a little better.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So all good to the girls in Toronto.
Absolutely. We'll move this on to our soccer reports, where our boy Alphonso Davies just signed an extension with Bayern Munich. I guess putting to rest the rumors that of him going to meet Real Madrid. He is signed to Bayern till 2030, and he's put out a nice little rap video to celebrate. I don't know if you saw that.
No. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? That's insane.
Yeah.
Why not? Brand yourself. I got to tell you something really quick that happened to me on Friday night when I was going to the Classic Albums. Underneath that place downtown when you're going to Roy Thomas Hall, there's a big food court.
Roy Thompson Hall, and there's that food court and shit. And the girls wanted something to eat, but I wanted beer. So I didn't really see beer in the food court, but I made them go around. I seen some bottles, and I walked in and I sat down at the bar. And first, the granddaughter says, "You got to play all this computer shit to get in the bar." I said, "No, there's a bar. Let's walk in." We got in. Play this computer? What are you talking about?
All these people are lined up, and they put in their little numbers on the thing, and they walk up, and it's like you get in.
Oh, like the kiosk?
I don't know.
Yeah, like at McDonald's.
I wasn't doing any of that shit, man. I thought that guy at the door. I said, "Hey, we can just walk up to the bar." Yeah, let's go up there. So we walk up to the bar. First of all, I got to tell you, I was wearing a bright yellow jacket, and I had a bright blue Detroit Lions sweater on underneath it. So first of all, the bartender thought he recognized me. And he did, but that's another story I'll tell you out there. He did recognize me, and he was very, very, very nice about something. I'll tell you.
You're hard to miss, Cruz, so.
Okay, in any event, I'll tell you how he picked me out, which is kind of interesting. But anyways, we're talking about on the screen, and we just happened to bring up the fact that, do you know in the next 10 days, there's going to be really no home games for Raptors or the Leafs. No home games. Check them out.
Why? Because concerts?
No, all the concerts that are coming in are like people from Nepal. Like Scotiabank's going to be sold out with 5 shows that we don't even know. This guy told me like maybe an Italian singer or Indian Bollywood, but it's there's 5 nights already sold out at Space that we don't even know about. So any event, we were sitting there talking about what was going on, and the soccer came around, and we were playing some soccer, and I said, well, you know what? I said, this week is going to be Champions League. I said, I'm not a big soccer guy, but I'm catching up to it. And I said, there's going to be some crazy games on Wednesday. And I said, especially if we get to see Man City and Real Madrid. And he looked at me. Real Madrid. And he looked at me and he said, okay, I got a question to ask you. I said, what's that? He goes, which side of the fence you on? I said, I'm a Man City guy. And he goes, I knew that. Look at the colors you're wearing. I fell out of my chair laughing. I was aware I'm wearing Man City colors going to a concert. It was kind of funny. I thought
you have like 5 bandwagons for English Premier League, so I don't know.
No, my new one is Atletico Madrid. They're my new favorite. But okay, let's continue on. But is that kind of neat?
Yeah.
The guy was there. We had to talk about rivalries too, and that was pretty interesting, but that's another story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in Premier League, I said to watch out for Arsenal Man City. Your Man City boys fell again this time to Arsenal 5-1.
Oh, it was so ugly.
What the hell,
But we won yesterday, didn't we?
In FA Cup, though. That's
but we got our...
My boys lost in FA Cup yesterday to Brighton. I'm not happy about that.
No, that was an interesting game, too. There was some tight games. But when we see in the English League...
you guys also beat you and me. Leighton Orient. Who the hell is that?
I didn't even know. I looked. I said, you're not going to give me any credibility for that. When I seen the score, I said, oh, shit, you guys. But what's the big scorer's name again on Man City?
Holland.
That guy. Great player. Okay, that's all I'm going to say.
He's a character.
You think?
He's got that funny commercial, though.
Oh, yeah, and he's a big boy. He's a
beast of a man.
Yeah, well, then he kind of plays like one. You know, he does. I mean, sometimes he's got ballerina slippers on. You know what?
This is soccer.
Okay, I give him the benefit of a doubt. But anyways.
The game to watch out for this week is Wednesday. We have a little bit of a derby here, the Liverpool derby, Everton-Liverpool. So, I mean, it could be a little bit one-sided, but I'm sure this is the game that Everton's going to want to show up for.
Is that this week? I thought Champions was this week.
They play Wednesday, it said. Well, I guess Liverpool has a bye, so they don't play anyway. So.
Oh, right. That's okay. Got you.
Yeah, Liverpool still comfortably at the top with the 6-point lead over Arsenal. And don't forget, Liverpool has that game in hand. Nottingham Forest third, Chelsea fourth.
Chelsea's hanging in there.
Manchester City fifth. They're tied with Newcastle, but Manchester City has the advantage, the tiebreaker. And then Bournemouth, just 1 point back.
They're not going away anywhere. I just see right now, I think Liverpool and Arsenal are guarantees for the top 2 spots, don't you think?
You would think so, but a lot can change.
I like the fact that
3-point wins, right? So
yes, Nottingham Forest, Robin Hood's in there. They're not going away, which is pretty cool. But come on, Man City, got to win some games.
Absolutely.
Get me in there. Oasis Brothers. Start cheering for him. Do something. That was a horrible loss, though, to Arsenal, eh?
Doesn't get much worse than 5-1.
Just brutal.
Milan and Inter, that was the game of the week for Serie A. They had a 1-1 draw at Milan, so a little bit of disappointing result for my team. On Monday, the game to watch out for is Inter-Fiorentina. This is actually a rematch of a game that happened on Thursday in which Fiorentina won 3-1. Yep. Now they're going to Inter, so should be a very good one there. Milan and Bologna advanced the Coppa Italia semis with a 3-1 win over Roma and a 1-0 victory over Atalanta. Inter Lazio, Juve, Empoli played the other end to complete the quarterfinal round.
Lazio and Milan, do you think they have a chance of getting in there?
For in terms of the table?
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look right now. So Napoli, number 1. Inter's only 2 points back.
Yeah.
Atalanta's a point back of them. After that, it's a bit of a gap. Lazio's in 4th. So Lazio, I mean, that's going to be between them and Juventus and Fiorentina, you would think, for that final Champions League spot. Milan, I think, is a little bit too far back. I think they're just probably focused on Coppa Italia and Champions League at this point.
I agree. How do you say that? Atalanta.
They've
been rising lately, eh?
The last few years, yeah. They used to be an afterthought of a team.
Really?
Yeah.
I've noticed lately they're getting a little bit more press than I noticed. They perked up my ears when I was doing my research, and they've won some big games this year.
They have Retegui. He's a very good, I think, number 1 in goals for Serie A. There we go. 5-goal lead over second place.
Got you. Okay.
Over to La Liga, Atletico Madrid bested Mallorca 2-0 last week. That was my game of the week. Griezmann scored the insurance marker in the 93rd minute. My game of the week this week was Real Madrid Atletico. They had a 1-1 draw yesterday.
1-1 tie, yeah. And they play again, right?
That might be it, because we're past the halfway point.
Okay.
I think they already played each other the first time. But either way, Real Madrid still number 1 with Atletico just 1 point back. Barcelona 4 points back of Atletico, and then Athletic is a point back of Barcelona. Those are the top 4 to complete the Champions League spots, with the Villarreal 4 points back of them, so it's a little bit of a gap there. You would think those top 4 teams should be pretty safe, especially the top 3.
Well, I'm looking at it this way. When you look at the goal differential in those teams, like when you get the Barcelona and that, they may be a little bit behind, but then and Atletico Madrid, but that Athletic Club and Real Madrid, when you look at the other 2 teams, their goal differentials, that means they've been hanging in there.
Yeah.
Whereas the other teams have been winning a little bit more convincingly with about 15 games left or whatever they have. I think when they come down the stretch, I still think Barcelona could win this whole thing. I mean, end up in first place.
Could still happen, but they have to make up some ground.
Yeah, and they lost a couple games they shouldn't have. But then again, the weird thing is when Barcelona loses, I notice that it's like they take the time off because they go to Champions too. Like that.
Well, that's the thing working against them.
Yeah, it's weird. Yeah. Like I've noticed that when the games that they lose, that's like, okay, we can lose that game. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I don't know if it's true.
It's just a matter of you got to save your best players for Champions League at this point, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So one of the games that they had played Champions League, and the next game when they had lost, I said, wow, they lost that team. And then I thought, that game is not necessarily a huge marker on their schedule as we speak right now. Could cost them down the road, but I think there's the next games left that they're going to chase them down.
It all depends on how Champions League goes, because Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona all very much alive.
Oh,
in their competition, right?
Huge. Does Real Madrid play Barcelona again this year?
I think they have one more game.
That's good. I'll keep my eyes open for that one. Definitely.
In the world of Bundesliga, my game of the week last week was Eintracht Frankfurt against Wolfsburg. That ended up being a 1-1 draw. This week, Bayern beat Werder 3-0. Now Bayern is on an 8-game win streak. They have an 8-point lead with 17 games left to go. The Bundesliga, they should very well run away with this.
No doubt about it. How about this Leverkusen guy?
Bayer Leverkusen?
Yeah. Are they going to be there? Because behind that, you got a bunch of teams that are battling.
Yeah, basically. After that, it's one big clusterfuck.
Yeah, 100%. But I see that Bayern Munich, whatever they are, they're not even. It's not even close for those guys. They're going to race away. They could be Champions League too, right?
Could be. They've been a little hit or miss in Champions League so far this year, though.
I've been looking at their scoring along the way. That's one of the little research things I did. I looked at how teams are scoring along the way as opposed to scoring in Champions and in their league, so to speak. I'm just thinking that Bayern Munich hasn't got it in fourth gear yet. They're cruising along in third.
They also have Harry Kane, who tends to disappear in big games.
That's what they say. Poor Limey. You know what I mean? He just got to show up. They got a good team, though.
Oh,
You
100%.
They got a great team.
They have a great team.
When it gets down to the Final Four in the Champions League, if they're there, I'm not going to be surprised. That's my big call.
Moving over to Ligue 1, Marseille topped Lyon 3-2. Marseille dominated with 64% possession, and they won the shots on goal battle 11-4. This week, my game of the week was PSG Monaco. PSG bested them 4-1.
No problem.
They have a 13-point lead with 17 to go. They, like I said, Bayern's going to run away with it. You can double that for PSG.
And the only other team I think is running away there is Marseille. There's another bunch of guys.
But they're only 3 points ahead of the next team, and after that, it's
a whole bunch of guys
close.
chasing them. Yeah, like Nice and Monaco and Nice, all those teams. It's in there. Hey, how many you say? 15 games left?
17.
17? We'll talk in 10 games. Could be more interesting. But PSG's, bye-bye.
Yeah, they just stormed through the competition.
Yeah.
But the one you all want to hear about, Champions League. We begin the first leg of the knockout round. To get to that round of 16 this week, our game of this round, of course, is Real Madrid and Manchester City. They play on Tuesday at Manchester City, 3 p.m. That's going to be a great one.
I'm going to watch it. It's Wednesday, right?
Wednesday, 3 p.m.
See, I thought it was this week for some reason, maybe because I was smoking in the afternoon, and I ran to the thing, and it was to the box and shit. It was Italian league games and La Liga games were on, which was okay. I didn't really watch them because I was waiting for the Champions League, but I'm getting excited about this.
Yeah.
Highest level competition.
Absolutely. And then they'll play again the next week after as well, so back-to-back knockout rounds. Or knockout games.
This bartender guy that I was talking about that said I was in the colors, he said that's what Champions League's all about. He goes, those teams should never be playing each other in the first round, but if you screw up, that's what you get.
Yep.
I went, oh, okay. He worked at TSM for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
We'll also be keeping an eye on other matches. PSG Brest, Juventus PSV, Sporting versus Borussia Dortmund.
That's an interesting game.
Yeah, Dortmund struggling in the Bundesliga, though, but obviously playing well here in Champions League. Feyenoord versus AC Milan. These are games on Wednesday, I should say. Club Bruges versus Atalanta. Monaco versus Benfica. And Celtic versus Bayern Munich.
Should be interesting. Now, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
Okay, when you win the championship, when you put the banner up in your arena, what's bigger, your league or Champions League? Champions League is a bigger trophy, right? That's the one, yeah. But, I mean, you still put up a banner for your league. But
I don't know how it works with banners or whatever, but...
whatever they do, they got to recognize that you're champion,
yeah.
right? So I'm just wondering what they do.
No, Champions League is huge, put it that way.
That's the number one, right?
Like, it's like as big as the Super Bowl, basically.
Yeah.
Bigger, I think.
Yeah, well, only because it's worldwide.
Well, I mean, it's really European, but...
Yeah. I mean, yeah. But the gambling on it is quite good. You check the books in Saudi Arabia and how much money is bet on Champions League. Whoo! But that's another story.
It's a little bit more than nothing.
Yeah, I'd say so. Do you ever talk about sand on the beach kind of money?
We'll move this over to the NBA, where
the NBA.
They stole 4 of the 7 days of the Super Bowl week, which I think they'd consider a win. But we will begin, before we get to the big trades, we'll get to our power rankings.
Okay, then. Once again, I only believe that there's 8 teams. You got 5, don't you?
I got 5 with an honorable mention.
Okay, so I'll start with mine. Number 8 is the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay.
Number 7, and I don't like to say it because they seem to be fading, but they did get a pickup, the Houston Rockets. Number 6, the New York Knicks. Number 5, the Denver Nuggets. Number 4, the Cavs. Number 3, the Grizzlies. Number 2, the Celtics. And number 1, OKC. Now, I got a little caveat.
Our top
here.
5 is very similar.
If I had a caveat, I made this list before last night's game started. I might have altered a couple things after what I saw last night.
Okay.
And what's your top 5?
So, first of all, my honorable mention, my number 6 is the Los Angeles Lakers.
Okay.
My number 5 is the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah.
My number 4 is the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
My number 3 is the Cleveland Cavaliers. Number 2, the Boston Celtics. And number 1, the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay, so let's just, before we go through everything that's going to go on, I'm going to make a statement right now that's just bold, and I'm going to just say, we're going to talk about basketball all the way there, but if I had a fast forward button right now, I would fast forward right to the finals because I'm saying right now, I don't see anybody beating Boston in 7 games. I don't see anybody beating OKC in 7 games.
I'm with you.
What did I say last night after what did I say? They went into their house, drank their scotch.
Drank their scotch, not just their beer. Wow.
No, drank their scotch, smoked their weed, banged their girlfriends, and then made them drive them home. Like it was, I don't know, like if I was in Memphis or like you should have seen the New York crowd last night. By the 4th quarter, they're bailing out. Like Boston was embarrassing them. Like all of a sudden, Brunson scored 1 and Cat, can I say this? And I'm going to go to the Jeff O'Neill, Michael Wilbon, who else says this? If you start, and Chris Russo, if you start dancing around or doing something like you just won the lottery and you're down and you're getting your asses kicked, you should get a technical for this shit. You know what I mean?
That?
Yeah, he scored and now all of a sudden they got in within 7 points. And Cat flexed this thing, went down like this.
Still down 3 possessions.
Okay. Then Boston went on an 11-0 run.
Yeah, there you go.
Went on an 11-0 run. How'd that work for you, Cat?
I know you pull out that move if you get it back to within 1 possession. I think you're down 7.
No, you got to hold on. It was still there, and this was in the 3rd quarter late, and then they put away. Then the 4th quarter, Boston, whatever they wanted. The difference in temperament I seen with Memphis is John Morant he had a rough night, still got a banged up shoulder. OKC is just so good. My point is this: John Morant did couple of his usual John Morant spectacular things. Shea's game is smoother, but he didn't do any of his usual like all badass move. Bane made a couple of huge threes to bring him within 6 at one point, and then OKC just wiped the floor with him. But none of those guys did any demonstrative here we come kind of moves. And even though they're both in their own house, they played in Memphis and they played in New York City. And they both got destroyed. I text you saying how pissed I wasn't on regular TV. And thank God I've got a way to see the game.
So before this, I said we can look forward to, before the show, I should say, we can look forward to the Knicks getting their asses kicked by the Celtics in the 2nd round. I might have to take that back because I'm starting to think the Knicks are going to lose to Milwaukee in the 1st round.
I wouldn't be surprised about that either, especially with the trade that was just made. Because they needed, they picked up Kuzma, who's going to score more than Middleton.
That's right.
And they needed that. And they're going to get everybody back. I wouldn't be surprised at that either.
So you want to get right to the trades then?
Let's go.
Oh, we got a lot to talk about here. First of all, the big one. The Lakers get Luka Doncic, Kleber, Markieff Morris from the Dallas Mavericks for Anthony Davis, Christie, and a 2029 first-round pick. Utah get a prospect and a couple seconds from each squad to complete the deal, but it seems that there was obviously some sort of big fallout between Mavericks management and Luka. A lot of reports, a lot of things being thrown at the Luka's fat. Well, Fat Boy took him to the finals last year.
They're seething in Dallas right now. First
season
of all,
ticket holders demanding their money back. They held the fake funeral. I saw that. That was hilarious.
Wasn't it? You saw the
that
fake funeral.
Wasn't
it? They had the fake funeral. But here's what I'm saying. This is the business of the NBA. Okay, so what we have to give credit to, and I heard Rob Pelinka at the press conference, is, first of all, this is a trade of unprecedented. Like, is it the biggest trade of all time? We're not sure, but it's got to be.
It's
right
like Gretzky level trade.
Oh yeah,
Gretzky
huge.
to LA. Yeah,
yeah. It's like one of the biggest ones of all time.
Happened. They're about the same age when it happened too. I think Gretzky may have been a year older.
27,
but,
I think.
Yeah,
Gretzky was 27.
Yeah.
In any event, just look at it this way: all the insiders, all the people, everybody that's involved in this trade. Jason Kidd didn't know anything. LeBron didn't know anything. Anthony Davis didn't know anything.
Shades of the Rantanen trade.
Look, we're going to get to that before we get into hockey. We're going to talk about that. Rich Paul and Clutch Sports didn't know anything about that.
Well, yeah, if LeBron doesn't know, then.
That's what I'm saying. Now, do you think that is possible in this day and age?
I mean, hey, if a trade like that is on the line, then I would keep it fucking quiet too.
Well, the fact that they met it started over a cup of coffee. Here's the main...
And the Mavericks approached the Lakers about this, which is the most insane part.
Okay, so now the outrage around the league is, from other general managers, you've been hearing yelling, eh? Why didn't we get a call? Why didn't we get a call? We didn't get
it seems like the Mavericks wanted Davis. That's my guess.
Oh, and
they went to them first.
And he fit yesterday. I mean, he didn't play in the 4th quarter, but he looked great. Dallas looked great yesterday. They rolled over. Who'd they play? I didn't play anybody great, but they rolled. They looked good.
Davis is already hurt, though.
But he said he's fine. He went out for precautionary reasons. They were up by 20 when he went out.
It was a non-contact injury too, which is a little bit worrisome, I would say.
There you go. But they were up by 20 at the time. So
still,
they were. Oh yeah, it's street clothes. What are you going to say? But anyways, the thing about it is this is why NBA is nothing but asses. Then it becomes the soap opera part of the program. Okay, Luka is seething. They heard. First of all, the guy lost $100 million.
Yeah, because he can't get the Supermax.
Can't get the Supermax. So right then you get there. The Dallas fans, as you mentioned, everything they went through.
A lot of upset fans with number 77 jerseys.
Oh, either he's playing April 9th in Dallas. Mark that on your calendar.
And also keep in mind that there's word that Luka is one of the pettiest athletes in sports. So he's going to put up like 40 that night.
Oh, easy. No doubt about it. But they say, speaking of being petty, they say those character issues are what's going to haunt Luka. Luka thought he was going to be a Maverick for life. And we heard the famous Mark Cuban quote.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So when you put that all together,
Cuban ain't in charge anymore, though.
No,
he has a voice, but he's not the big guy anymore.
No. He took the money and ran. Smart for him, but
he kind of ran. He's got 1 foot still in the door.
What's he on? 15% owner,
10 or 15.
But he has no real, and he's on the board.
Yeah.
That's about it. But anybody can be on the board when it comes out. He has no power of power.
Exactly.
So to speak. But in any event, I thought it was absolutely fascinating. The thing is that makes it really weird is that the Lakers were on a rise anyway. My question is this: did the Lakers get deep enough? Because they traded for Matt Williams from Charlotte, the guy from Duke, which I thought was a good move.
But you said he failed his physical.
They vetoed the trade. The guy failed the physical back. So I'm just saying, when you got to go up against the Denver in their middle of the court, and you got to go up against OKC, which they'll never beat OKC in 7 games, unless Luka and LeBron.
Never say never.
Never say, but unless those guys completely lose their minds.
I mean, that's possible.
It's 7
I mean,
games.
having that trade fall through hurts them 100%, but they could still sign someone, can't they?
It's that stupid buyout bullshit.
Yeah,
now.
like they're saying Ben Simmons is going to the Clippers now.
Yeah, and there's a couple. Bruce Brown's going to be bought out. He's going to be a defensive player for
PJ Tucker
else.
too, I believe.
Yeah, they're going to get bought out. But that's what's weird about the NBA. You can still change your roster. This time left.
One wacky thing about the NBA that I do like, though, this has to do with the Luka trade. So Utah obviously was the third team in there. They didn't have to give up anything, but they got a prospect in 2 seconds. I love that in the NBA. They don't have to give up anything in a trade to get things from another team just to help them out, right?
Yeah.
That's all fair. Like the NHL doesn't allow that. It would be cool if they did. Technically, what you could do in the NHL, though, is like you can trade for future considerations, and that future considerations doesn't have to amount to anything. So it's kind of there, but it's not.
I got you. I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I always think it's interesting, too, because the deal is that you don't know what the owners are talking about in the backcourt.
Exactly.
What kind of money did Utah get in the backcourt? Ryan Smith's no idiot.
Nah, I don't think they got any cash, and that would be against the CBA.
I guess, but I'm saying that...
I think it's just more like for Utah, it's like, hey, yeah, just give us, like,
I like the fact that they picked up assets.
Yeah.
Okay, what it is, and they got an expiring contract out of it, too, I believe. Didn't they? They get an expiring contract.
I think they just picked up like a young guy in a couple seconds.
Okay. But it's interesting because they were saying it's like how many teams you need to make a move in the NBA now when they got the new apron?
3 or 4, as we've seen.
So let's make a call here. Who do you think is going to go farther in the playoffs, Dallas or the Lakers?
Oh, Lakers, easy.
Whoa. I wouldn't go that far. I hope they play.
I don't know.
I hope they play in the playoffs.
I hope so, too.
That would be it.
I don't think that's going to work out, though.
Do you want to bring up the the
Trojan horse theory?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is from an article from 2 years ago, just before the Mavericks got Kyrie Irving. So their thing was, like, you know what the Lakers should do? They should be building up Kyrie as, like, you know, the next big piece to complete your roster, knowing that he's kind of a bit of a wild card, let's just say. That's putting it nicely.
Yeah.
And then because they were like, well, the only other team desperate enough to go after a guy like Kyrie would be the Mavericks. So use Kyrie to put him there, get tensions to flare up, piss off Luka, so that when, you know, so that eventually, like, Luka will be traded and the Lakers can just pick him up.
Interesting point.
It's a little outlandish, but I just thought that was hilarious.
There's a thread on the sweater.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's a thread on the sweater. We don't know. I'm still absolutely, and I heard Brian Windhorst and that other guy, what's his name, Sham, and they all they all say the same thing that got my mind thinking. How do you keep LeBron out of this? How they kept LeBron out? Because LeBron and AD.
Well, because they knew if it gets out, like, it's the trade's done.
Yeah, that was the number one thing. But I'm absolutely.
I don't think LeBron's upset by it.
No, AD was his boy.
Well, he was also a Sham Training guy, which is why you don't tell LeBron.
Thank you.
Or sorry, not Sham. Rich Paul.
Yeah,
They're both the Rich Paul guys.
So that's what I'm saying. But we're going to bring that up in a minute because then after we had that insane trade, which I still say will be up there, we're going to see the results soon because did Luka play last night? I got the game on TV. I don't even know if he played.
I don't think so. Him and LeBron were both out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Next big trade was a De'Aaron Fox going to San Antonio. Sacramento got Zach LaVine, a 2027 first from San Antonio, Minnesota's first round pick in 2031 in 5 seconds. Chicago got Herter, Collins, Trevor Jones, and their own 2025 first back in that trade. So Sacramento rebuilding, retooling. I
feel sorry for DeRozan. He keeps getting thrown on these scrap heaps, and he's got a great player. I wonder if this is going to affect his Hall of Fame chances.
I don't think DeRozan's going in the Hall of Fame. I would have told you that.
He's starting to have a Hall of Fame numbers.
You think so?
Oh yeah, start to look. Look how long he's been in the league. Look how consistent he is. He's building a Hall of Fame resume. But what has he got to show for it?
That's the thing.
So he might be like a 10th.
How many All NBA teams has he been on? Like maybe just a couple.
Three. But you got to look at the time that he's played, the people that were in front of him. That's got to be consideration too. And guys down the road end up getting into the Hall of Fame once they look at him like 10 years after they've been
Veterans Committee kind of deal.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know how it's going to work, but I feel bad for Sacramento. My point is that's why I keep saying Rich Paul. The interesting thing about this DeAndre Fox thing is De'Aaron Fox, who I think is a great player. When I seen him in Kentucky in college, like I will give the race baiter his greatest argument with Magic Johnson was they were going to say don't draft Lonzo Ball, draft De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox, and I at the time I would have done the same. Lonzo was just bigger. But and
a lot of it with him was a hype because of Papa.
Oh yeah, well, all the case may be. But thank God Lonzo's back. He's playing some solid minutes in Chicago as we speak. But my point is this: I think agents got. Well, we're going to talk about when we cross over to the NHL and this stuff here too. Okay, this De'Aaron Fox. I'll screw up their names forever. Bottom line is, this is a guy who's only 26 years old. He's a great player. Great clutch shooter, plays some defense.
Great running mate for Wemby now.
Oh, well, this is my point. How has it happened that this guy, under contract for that much money, he's got a year away to go. He's got a year before. He can't be a free agent until the summer of 2026. Okay? All of a sudden, he says, I want to go to San Antonio. Someone pulls a lever, and he's playing with Wemby. That's what really blows my mind about how this NBA works. And oh, by the way, who's his agent?
Like you said, he's a year away.
Who's his agent?
I don't know.
Clutch Sports.
Rich Paul.
I'm not saying he's the Scott Burrows of
Boris
of basketball because he handles his agent differently. You know, Boris is a bull in a china cabinet. Paul's got a little bit more savvy to him. But isn't it interesting? A guy who's under contract to a team, franchise type player, says, boo. Get me out of here. And you land in the destination that you want. Blows my mind. If you're going to leave a team.
Well, if San Antonio is going to give up the assets.
Okay, I know that's your theory all the time. But I'm looking at it, Sacramento.
Well, because think about it from the Sacramento angle. Like, are you going to risk keeping him and losing him for nothing?
My point is, if I'm going to get rid of you, I'm going to send you to the highest bidder, and I'm going to send you to Washington.
Washington's not going to pay shit for him, though.
Oh, whatever the case may be, he's in your conference. You're going to have to deal with this guy.
Maybe San Antonio gave up the most. We don't know that. Oh, that's very possible.
Point well taken. However, Wemby is on the rise, and they got a bunch of other young dogs on that team.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And putting Fox in that lineup, they're going to make the playoffs for sure now. They're going to make the play for sure. It's going to be a run in there. My point being is, we never get to see behind the curtain. It just blows my mind, like being older and seeing the evolution of how players have been handled. And the NBA is such a player power league. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It blows my mind.
Kyle Kuzma, we mentioned this one. Him in a second going to Milwaukee. Chris Middleton and a 2028 pick swap going to Washington. This obviously makes Milwaukee much better. Sorry for Chris Middleton. Sorry for his luck going to Washington. But pick swaps bother me.
What's that?
Pick swaps.
In what way?
If you agree with them, you lost the trade. Like, they're fraudulent, especially in a case like this where Washington obviously wanted a first-round pick. Milwaukee said no, so, okay, we'll settle for the pick swap. The problem with that is that, like, by the time that pick swap comes, like, Milwaukee's probably still going to be a better team than Washington, so who cares? It's going to be a wash. Like, the teams that are agreeing to these shit, Like they're never going to, like the teams that are like taking advantage of other ones are always going to be better. Like, I mean, there's the rare instance where, you have a Brooklyn-Boston thing, right? Where like Boston just completely wiped the floor with them in that Garnett trade, right? But,
oh yeah, okay, that does go on. You make an interesting point. You know what I mean? And the crazy thing is like they're giving up first-round picks from 2031.
Oh, and also the LA Luka trade. They only have to give up one first-round pick. That's insane.
2031.
I know. It's ridiculous.
And it's not protected, is it?
Unprotected, you're right.
Unprotected. That's the crazy
2029 first.
Oh, 2029 first. Okay. That's not so far away.
Nope.
But someone gave up their 2031 first-round pick already.
Well, that was in the De'Aaron Fox one. Sacramento got Minnesota's 2031 first.
Oh, yeah,
I'm sure we'll talk. Well, there's going to be a lot. There's a lot to talk about. A lot of 2031 picks, I'm sure. Next up was Jonas Valanciunas going to Sacramento for Sissoko, who got traded a couple more times. I believe he ended up getting waived when all was said and done.
Or a buyout, one of the two. Yeah. In
a couple seconds. So Sacramento kind of, I guess, retooling, just picking up assets where they can. Jimmy Butler ended up getting traded to a team that he didn't want to go to, but ends up signing there. Golden State for Andrew Wiggins. Schroeder, who was later traded to Utah for PJ Tucker. Making it the second time he's been traded this season. That's Schroeder.
Yep.
Kyle Anderson, he was supposed to go to the Raptors as part of that trade, but that part fell through.
I think it was health issues.
Was it?
I think it was something to do with health.
And the Warriors gave up a 2025 top 10 protected first-round pick. And as part of the trade, Detroit actually got some rotation guys.
That worked out for Detroit, nobody who's going to want to play the Pistons in the playoffs.
No, and Butler signs a 2-year, $121 million extension with the Warriors.
Okay, so let's get to the Jimmy Butler, as we're saying NBA, nothing but asses. You can't say anything bad about Jimmy Butler's production when it comes to playoffs, even though one of the times that he did take him to the finals was in the bubble when a lot of guys didn't care. Okay, so
but he was back 2 years later.
But he came back 2 years later, so there's something to be said there. My take on the matter is,
I don't buy that people discounting the bubble. I hate that.
No, I don't think they should either. Everybody was there and they were playing. They were just saying that the circumstances might have been a little bit differently. So let's just ignore what I said. Bottom line is, this is the hypocrisy of the league. First of all, you completely ignore your contract obligations to the Miami Heat. You are complete disrespectful to the environment with which you live. You're already saying, if I don't get this down the road, I'm not doing it. And suddenly you're sitting in a press conference saying, I am so glad to be playing for an organization of this caliber. I threw something at the TV, and I have respect for Jimmy Butler as a player. But I have to talk about now, like, you know what I mean? And you don't want to talk about a man's character because I don't know the man on a personal level. But this is just shady ass shit.
Yeah, for him to disrespect the Miami organization like that. Like,
exactly.
Like, come on, they are one of the top 10 organizations in the NBA the way they do things.
Exactly, and then their resume says as such. But you're going to go to a place that you said, I'm not resigning. I ain't going there. Oh,
I wonder what went on.
That's what I'm saying. Agents, deals, stuff behind the door we don't know, which puts a bad taste in my mouth. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so what my thing is I'm going to keep harping on it forever, and we get to other sports, I will say it. Sometimes I think the problem with the world today is everybody thinks that they're more important than they really are. And if you get those agents who go into who just bypass everybody and talk to an owner.
Yeah.
Oh, my guy's this, you better do that. Then that's going to cause dissension already. It ripples from the owner to the floor. You know what I mean? And that means that these Rich Paul type guys are really way more powerful than we really know, but we don't get to see it because that part will never come out in the press.
Right.
You know what I mean? Drives me crazy.
Sure.
Do you think Golden State's going to be that much better? Who are they going to put in the middle?
That's my question.
If you're going to play in the Western Conference and you expect to get out of there, you got to be playing down the middle. Now, I thought it was quite interesting that Sacramento, they did lose Fox, but they know how the game is played. They got to protect Sabonis. They brought in Valanciunas. I don't think that might get them in the play-in.
Yeah,
you know
possibly.
what I mean? The play-in, but I mean Valanciunas, Fox. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay, so they protected the middle. Who's going to score?
And Zach LaVine, but he doesn't play defense.
No, so they got two guys like DeRozan. They already played together in Chicago, and that's one of the reasons DeRozan left is because they were too much of the same.
The wild card, though, for the West is that Phoenix is really sliding. They're losing their way.
I don't know what they're doing, but they need more defense.
Well, there's rumor there that Kevin Durant was going to get traded.
That's what's another thing that's insane. Is he just a hired gun?
It's starting to look that way.
Like, the Clippers pick up Ben Simmons. What's that going to do for that team?
I can't say I know.
Okay, so now we're going to get back to my original premise. In a 7-game series, these guys better all tie their shoes a little bit tighter, because I just can't see what it is the sneakiest team right now, and they've already won a championship, is the Denver Nuggets. I told you about that stat last week, didn't I? About losing to Chicago?
Yeah.
You know that stat? I was telling you about, like, if they play on this level at all times and another team gets hot with a bunch of three-pointers, they're going to probably lose a few of those games, because everybody does when a team gets hot. But if they stay on their steady metric, they could climb all the way up to second place. I don't think they'll catch OKC, but they could catch it there because they're going inside. Everybody's starting to realize it now, that all this missed threes, shooting early in the shot clock, is reflected in all the teams that are in the bottom half of each conference. So these guys are already thinking about, we got to get into the paint if we're not shooting 40% from the three one night, right? So, and what are the teams that have been doing it consistently all season? OKC, Denver. Boston is the anomaly. Those sons of bitches. I hate those fucks. But
Cleveland.
What's that? Cleveland's not that's the way they went out. The big for them is they went out and got DeAndre Hunter from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Which was a huge move, because they needed some more physical toughness inside and more shooting. You know what I mean? To be able to complete with them. But as much as I love them, Mobley and Jared Allen, which I said would rise them to the top, maybe they're not experienced enough. Maybe can't score enough. I don't know. But I don't think Cleveland, they could be one of those teams that you could sneak by. Like, if there's a first round upset or a second round upset and they don't get to conference finals, I wouldn't be surprised. I think they should be tough enough with the DeAndre Hunter.
They gave up a lot to get him, though. Levert and Niang, 3 seconds and 2 pick swaps.
Yes, that's a lot. But that tells you that's how close they believe they are, and that's where they're making a run for it. So I give them credit, but I'm going, I don't know.
Well, they expect to be in the conference finals at least.
That's what they're saying. But I mean, who are they going to play? Are they? Boston's not going to catch them now, I don't think, anyway. So who are they going to in the second round? They'll probably end up with the Knicks.
Yep.
They could end up with the Knicks. You never know. We're going to have to wait and see. Nobody's going to want to play Detroit.
No.
Because they're just as scrappy as hell. I think you can beat them down in 7 games, but they would take a lot out of you to beat them. So that's somebody you
might hurt you in the next round.
You got it. That kind of deal. Which brings us to one trade that we should be talking about, since we are Toronto-centric. I am so happy that the Toronto Raptors got Brandon Ingram.
Yes.
I'm very happy. Now, the scuttlebutt is Masai retooling, and he said we're already in a rebuild.
Well, we gave up Bruce Brown, Kelly Olynyk, Indiana's 2026 first and a second round pick to get him.
He's only 27 years old.
You got to re-sign him.
Oh, I think that's already in the process. The word around the campfire is he's going to re-sign. That's another thing about the backdoor deals. You got to know that Lucas said he would sign with the Lakers. No, I don't know. They got to work their shit out. But when Ingram's coming here, Masai's not stupid enough to get the guy, and he leaves town 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. The question is now, what are we as a team? Are we going forward now? Are we still in the rebuild, or we're going to try to pull a Houston? I don't know.
Well, this trade kind of signals we got to get out of the rebuild. That's what they're trying to do.
Obviously, and the guys we got are young. Ingram's in his prime, and we still got some draft stock.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And we got money in free agency. We can go up to the apron. We're not at the apron yet, so we could go there. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic about what I believe the Toronto Raptors can do in the next couple of years. I'm not resigning them to the bottom of the bucket or having a fire sale like a lot of pundits in this city have. You know?
Yeah, it's a lot of ground to make up for them to get back in the play-in.
Yes.
But
so what should they do? Should they stay out to get a shot at flag? The percentages of them getting are going to be low anyway.
Yeah,
I'd rather
I don't tank.
Agreed.
The NBA pretty much with the new lottery rules, like it disincentivized tanking. So
yeah, exactly. But my point being is that I like what you were saying in the production meeting. Let's compete.
Let's do it.
Let's just let's not go down the tubes and see what happens. Let's compete. I think it would be a good thing.
Yep. Keep it with the Raptors. They got Wiseman from Indiana for a 2026 protected second that would likely roll to 2027, but they waived Wiseman, did they not?
I believe so.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be something when he came into the league.
Second overall pick.
And he just, injuries and whatever, I thought he was going to be a player. But that tells you just about how crazy the draft is. Let's put it this way. When Philadelphia was in the process, they drafted Ben Simmons and Markelle Fultz. Look at all the guys behind.
Okafor was the second overall pick.
Okafor was almost worth it too, though. But he was banged up too. But that was a weaker draft. Go back to that draft. That was a weaker draft. But just say about, you got draft stock. You got draft stock. That's 2 first-round overall picks that Philadelphia have. How did that work out for you? Go back to those drafts and see the guys that they could have picked. Whoa!
Well, the worst was Fultz because they could have taken Tatum.
Oh, 100%. But I heard that Danny Ainge conned him out of that.
Oh, 100% he did.
Okay.
That's no secret.
But here's another thing about coaching that I heard, and which is interesting, because Fultz got the yips. He's playing good minutes in Orlando now as a rotation player.
Yeah, but he's not a starter.
No, never. And he'll never be a star, but he's good to your team. But here's what happens sometimes you come in. I remember when Fultz was shooting, he had that funky kind of release.
Yeah.
They changed his release, and what happened to the guy? Can't shoot at all.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to let be a player. For example, like, no matter what you think about golf, you're not supposed to do certain things in golf. Scotty Scheffler does them all the time. If it works for him, is everyone trying to change his game? So sometimes I think, like, a player is a player is a player, and if that's the part of their skill set, don't screw with it.
Absolutely. The LA Clippers got Bogdanovich and 3 second-round picks for Terrence Mann and Highland. I think that could be a big trade there for the Clippers.
They need it. They need it because they're another team that I can't figure out. They lost the other night to who? Kawhi had 4 bad turnovers because I don't think he's quite in game shape yet. But if that team pulls it together, the Clippers are dangerous.
I'm trying to find the game that you're talking about.
A couple nights ago, I think, was it Friday night? Last night?
Might have been Thursday. Oh, they lost to the Pacers.
Yeah. And they looked ugly doing it. There was like 4 turnovers. What is it? I think Indiana scored 20-some points off turnovers.
Holy.
And the Clippers got 4. That's the difference in your game there. The rest of the time, they were controlling the game. They've got a team that could do something, but they got to tie their shoes tight by the end of the year.
They're down to the play-in now. They've slipped back a little bit. Minnesota passed them.
Exactly. And Minnesota looks like they're finally getting their shit together, but I don't think they're going anywhere either.
Yeah, I don't think so. Memphis got Bagley, Davis, 2 seconds. Sacramento got Laveria. Washington gets Smart, Colby Jones, Len. Memphis's 2025 first round in a 3-way deal. A little bit surprised that Marcus Smart was on the move.
Because they needed Bagley. Remember I was saying about strength down the center, and Bagley's a big boy. That's what Memphis is lacking. So they were smart to pick it up because the teams that they're going to be fighting with, OKC and Denver, they're strong up the middle. And I thought it was a very smart move on their part because they've got Jaren Jefferson, but who else that can score in there when they can do it? Bagley's a very serviceable player.
Absolutely.
I thought he'd be better because when he was in college,
he's a second overall pick.
Yeah, I thought he'd be a little bit better, but he'll give you 25 good minutes a night, and he plays D and he blocks shots, and he's a presence in the paint, which is what they're going to need if they're going to go anywhere in the playoffs, as far as I'm concerned.
But that's pretty much it for picks. Just want to say that I like that Utah is picking up good pieces, not throwing the baby out with the bathwater like Philly did in their process.
Yes, 100%. I just want to go back to one thing when I'm talking about it. It's very interesting that and we'll bring it up. We're talking about Super Bowl. There's this very interesting that this is one of the quietest Super Bowl weeks in a long time. And the joke around sports circles is this: the NFL crushed the NBA on their Christmas Day. Isn't it weird? Now the biggest game of the year, and the NBA is stealing all the thunder from the Super Bowl.
Yep.
Interesting dichotomy, if you want to think about it.
Funny how it works out.
Yes.
And a shocking development, going back to English soccer, Liverpool loses 1-0 to Plymouth Argyle in the FA Cup. So they are eliminated.
Really?
Yep.
When did this happen?
Just now.
Wow.
So no chance of the quad for Liverpool once again.
Wah, 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 wah. Sorry, Matt Curran. Sorry, Matty. Give Ethan a hug. Oh, that's interesting. How to throw that in there. I should have had it on TV.
Oh, well. Ready to move it on?
Yeah, just saying this. The NBA is doing everything to improve their product because the ratings for their off-field drama is much higher than the ratings are for actually watching the product.
Well, we will see. Moving over to the NHL now, our favorite here at the House That Happens, in our newest edition of the Power Rankings.
Want me to go?
Sure, go ahead.
I'm going to go first this time because then I don't think you'll bash me so hard as you go. I've listened to you. Sound like you're kicking now. I listened to if you listen to your tone of voice when I gave my rankings last week, you talked at me like you were talking to Stanley. What are you doing, Cruz?
Stanley.
I know. And I think you give me some credit.
He's a good boy.
But you did not give my list last week very much the credibility I think I deserved. So I've decided to look at things from a little bit differently this week, and I don't think you will have a lot of arguments with me about this list. At number 10, the Colorado Avalanche.
Okay.
Number 9, Minnesota Wild.
Okay.
Number 8, Carolina Hurricanes. Number 7, the Dallas Stars. Number 6, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay.
Number 5, Vegas. Number 4, and if I had to do it again, I would have put them higher, is the Oilers. Number 3 is the Panthers. Number 2 is the Washington Capitals. And number 1 is the Winnipeg Jets.
Okay. So we have 9 of the 10 same teams on our top 10.
You got Jersey? You put Jersey in?
No, I do not have Jersey.
Oh, who's
They
your
fell
other?
up. My number 10, the Vancouver Canucks.
Whoa!
Look at their record lately. Very hot. It was between them and Tampa for my number 10, to be honest. But I thought Vancouver had better wins against better teams.
I was just going to say that. Some of the teams that Tampa's beat lately, well, they had to win those games, and they did, so I'll give it to them that. But, yeah, the competition that Vancouver had was higher, no doubt.
Looking much better since the JT Miller trade, so credit to them there. Number 9, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Whoa!
Number 8, well, they were off my list last week, so they're back in.
They went out west and almost swept.
They fell far back the week before, put it that way.
They got goalied last night.
Either way. Number 8, Minnesota.
Okay.
Number 7, Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, Vegas.
Wow.
Number 5, Florida.
Okay.
Number 4, Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, Dallas. I thought that was a team you'd have a lot higher.
I did too, but I got to do a little more. They crushed last night. They crushed.
Yeah.
Oh, they've
They've
rising.
been crushing lately.
Yeah, and they got a couple guys back from injury. I think maybe I could have put them a little higher if I made the list before the game started last night.
Oh, true.
So that
I did it after it was all over.
Okay, I did mine before because they probably would have been up a little bit higher.
Number 2, Washington, and number 1, Winnipeg.
You have to put the two of them at the top. All the things that I said about them, this is going to happen, or watch out for this and doing that. Both teams have been just keep rolling along. Their last 10, they're solid. They're looking great everywhere. And I want to say this. If anyone bitches about Ovechkin scoring into an empty net one more time, fuck you.
Yeah, my brother had this conversation with me. He's like, if he has the chance at an empty net, I don't think he's going to take it. I'm like, of course he's going to take it.
Freaking mind?
I don't think Ovi cares.
Okay.
That's not his character at all.
Okay, didn't we look this up? Okay.
He's 16 goals away, and he's on pace for 19 more this season.
Okay, I'm going to give you a little stat here, okay? The most empty net goals in the history of the NHL. Do you know who they are? Top 3?
I'm guessing Gretzky's one of them. No?
Ovechkin, number 1.
Okay.
63. Number 2, Wayne Gretzky, 56. Okay? Shut up, people. Shut up. And
Who's
I'm not
number
the
3?
biggest... Marian Hossa with 40.
Really? I guess
Think about the two-way playing. And he'd always be on the ice at the end of the game.
he's one of those guys in late game situations. He would have had the skating to pull away. That makes a lot of sense.
Oh, of course it does when
Yeah.
you think about it now. He's one of the best two-way centers at the time. Won Stanley Cup with Chicago, didn't he?
3 Stanley Cups.
Well, there you
And
go.
he was on a lot of good teams. Let's not kid ourselves.
And
Between Ottawa, Detroit,
I was just going to
Pittsburgh,
say he was in the Battle of Ontario a couple times, and you think about that. So when I heard Marian Hossa, I went, huh? Oh, that makes sense. So anyways, the only reason I bring it up is that this is one of the greatest records in sports. And you gotta give the grade 8 his credit for getting there. And if he scores every one of his goals in the empty net to get to the record,
Who cares?
who cares? Stop it. He scored into an empty net. And the other one, because remember it was close the other night? Nylander missed his empty netter by what, a hair?
Yeah.
And
He's trying to catch Draisaitl for the Richard this year.
Exactly. And when you look at the difference, it was a fraction of us. It was like F1 time difference. You know what I mean? And the thing
Just like a hair. Yeah.
Just a hair got over and the other one didn't. So more credit to Ovechkin about that, but more credit to this. We were talking about how you build a team. We can't say enough that they didn't sign all those huge guys, but the pieces that Washington bought in the off season now, For the depth of their lineup?
I've said this since day one. Like, everyone goofed on them since the Dubois trade. But I said it back then. I'm going to repeat it now. Washington, they have a great culture there. They've been known to fix, or not fix guys, but kind of like take guys that have been like known as a little bit of like a problem child in their own dressing rooms, and then you never hear from them being a problem in Washington.
Guys having one of his better years.
Absolutely. Quietly having one of his
having one of his years, and of course the emergence of Logan Thompson. He was good
they
anyway.
picked up him. They picked up a couple of good defensemen. Their prospects starting to rise up a little bit.
Yes. And
the perfect storm for the Capitals.
Oh, absolutely. You got to give them all the credit in the world. Their goal differential is amazing. They're top 10 in both special teams. Top 6 or 7 in goals against and save percentage. All metrics that say you're a Stanley Cup contender. At this point in the year, with all we got the stretch going afterwards, unbelievable.
I just can't wait to see once we get to March and Gretzky's going to have to do the tour to follow around Ovechkin, because he said he wants to be there.
Oh, yeah, no, and Gretzky has respect for the game. I expect him to be there, and I expect him to be...
Not like Glenn Sather.
Oh, that's Glenn. Glenn has his issues, okay?
I told you about that, right? And then, like, it was a live 32 Thought show, and once he said that, like, the room went quiet.
Why wouldn't it?
I was like, ooh.
Oh, yeah. Only Glenn Sather.
Yeah.
Only Glenn. But congratulations. I think Washington has just played like, I can't say enough about them. And their back end on their defense is good. Tom Wilson is a very quiet presence on that team. And you know what he does on that team?
Stanley, get down.
You know what's great about having leave me, won't get anything, he won't leave you alone. You know the thing about him that really that Tom Wilson has? He now has a quiet presence on that team in this way. Nobody fucking with nobody on Washington for starters, okay? Great on the forecheck. He hasn't lost a step in his skating. You know what I mean? And not only that, don't leave him alone in front of the net. Red light going to go on. The guy can still shoot the puck.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So they're solid there. Get to Winnipeg. What is Winnipeg doing wrong? Hellebuck is not MVP. I'm sorry, he's not MVP. He's playing
with the numbers he's putting up, though. He's probably going to get some
Ken Dryden had those numbers. He never won MVP.
Yeah, but he probably got some votes.
Yeah, so did Martin Brodeur. Did you ever win MVP?
He was a finalist one year.
Yeah, so
him
was
and
Patrick.
Luongo.
Yeah, and Luongo too. So that's what I'm saying. Did they get him? Or is Hellebuck better than those guys? He's just playing on a very great team, and give him credit. He makes the saves he does.
So you can make that argument about Brodeur too.
Okay, and they were probably a better defensive team. Hence the reason he can't be. Much better. Okay, but at that being said, that means it's a team thing more. You know what I mean? So I'm saying Hellebuck is great. Don't get me wrong. I want him to fall down in the Four Nations, but that's another story. Bottom line is he's a great goaltender. Okay,
in line to win the Vezina.
Okay, so right now,
hands down.
Okay, so here's how I look at goaltending right now. Some of the best goaltending I've seen all year is that Dostal guy in Anaheim. Nobody gives that guy the time of day. Well, look at the team he plays on.
There you go.
Okay. But should he be out in the shadows there? Like, that guy is playing great last night. He stole the game from L.A. You seen him the night he beat Toronto. It wasn't for him. Toronto would have won that game 10-1. So I'm not saying that Dostal's a better goalie right now, but I'm thinking he's contributing to more keeping his teams in the game than Hellebuck has to do some nights. Winnipeg's out there 3-0 after 25 minutes. It's 3-0. Okay?
We got it. You don't think Hellebuck's an MVP?
Nah. Now, if you want to talk about a few other guys in that team that should consider some consideration, which they won't, like, that's a solid team. But go up and down the lineup. Morrissey, Scheffler, Connor. Scheifele, Connor. Go on.
Connor, man.
That guy is unbelievable. Is he the purest scorer in the league right now? Just because Matthews is in a little bit of a slump? Matthews, by the way, Matthews is not playing bad. He's playing good. He's just not getting the goals. Like, he had 2 glorious chances last night. He hit the goal post. Yep. You know what I mean? He's getting his chances. He's getting his shots. Like he says, my theory. Remember a theory I told you about this week? Everybody listening to hockey, I have a theory about American players in the crease, in the slot. Remember I told you? They all fire the puck right away. Look around the league. Caulfield, Connor, Hughes, Matthews, they all came through that development school in America. It can't be a coincidence when they just shoot it. No matter if they're defensemen there, if they get the puck in that spot, they're just shooting the puck. I think that lends a lot to why your team gets ahead in the game, because you're taking more chances instead of doing the extra pass. If I see one more extra pass, I'm going to lose my mind. Willie don't make the extra pass. No. Did you see him the other night when he scored the goal? I heard the greatest thing was like he was playing with beer league guys. Nah, you guys ain't getting the puck. You're not getting. I'll take care of this. Red light on. You know what I mean? So it's. I just hope when we get into this Four Nations, which we'll get in a second, we shoot the puck too. You know what I mean?
We got some pure scorers, so we'll see. A few things to talk about around the league. Ryan Hartman suspended 10 games, and happy he was suspended those 10 games. Dirty hit. Can't have that. He pushed Stuzel's head into the ice off the faceoff. Can't have that.
Thank God nothing bad happened out of that. You break a guy's neck doing shit like that. And this guy isn't a first-time offender.
Nope.
I think this is the smartest move, which we are not the greatest fans of player safety in the NHL. Mm-hmm. Like, their record has been shoddy at best. But this is a huge shout-out. Okay, this is like, it was so egregious. You had to do something insane to get this guy's attention. 10 games was well worth it. You know what I mean? Anybody else in the league going to think about doing that? Oh, and by the way, this isn't his first rodeo doing that.
No,
that's his move. That's his face-off move. Like, buddy, what are you thinking?
Oh, he's a pure douchebag.
Oh, 100%. I'm not sorry for the guy. Wish you got 20.
Yeah.
You know, take that shit out of the game. But with that being said, we've seen some big hits in the last week. Okay? If you hit a guy in the open ice, we here at the house that happens, if you agree with me, you shouldn't have to fight. Okay, now if you run
it's
a guy.
It's a clean hit, yeah.
Yeah. But what's happening in the league now?
Well, it's been like that for years now. It's been like that's been the last decade of the NHL.
The only one I seen when Buddy ran Pietrangelo and the guy jumped him because Pietrangelo is back to the play. And he was moving out. That guy took 3 strides and took a run at him.
Right.
Okay, I'm going to jump in then. Okay, but if you're in the open ice, you got your head down, the guy drills you. It was like when they were talking about when Rafi Torres hit, who did he hit in the middle of the ice?
What team?
I forget now. They were talking about it.
Rafi Torres had a few big hits in
his
career.
But that's it. I mean, he had that one hit across the middle, and he didn't have to scrap. You know, I mean, he ended up getting a suspension for it, and he said it was the best hit I ever got in my life. You can't even have hits like that in the NHL anymore. You're going to get a suspension. Mm-hmm. So what's the deal here? Is it becoming freaking figure skating? If you go through the center of the ice, you got your head down.
Yeah.
You get what you deserve. I don't want no one to get hurt. Okay? But come on, man. That's part of hockey.
Yeah. The problem is now, too, is like if you don't go for the fight and like if you're not standing up for your guy, you're going to get burned in the press, too. Or in the media. You shouldn't. Well, no one has newspapers anymore. The press.
I do. Look at the newspapers all over here. I see newspapers everywhere.
Yeah, but it's beyond just the newspapers, too. It's the TV, online.
Okay, so we had the typical example this week. What happened in Buffalo?
What? Oh, Tage Thompson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what did they do?
Not much.
They had a closed-door meeting afterwards and said, we'll never let that happen again. Why didn't you do something on the ice? That was the time. That was your hottest player you're playing. That was borderline dirty shot.
Yeah.
Okay, that one there. And the open ice ones, you get hit.
Well, that's a problem with Buffalo's dressing room, I would say.
Obviously, Lindy Ruff went old school. Like, I mean, Fred Flintstone old school. You know what I mean? And you have to be something said because, like I said, if I'm on the ice and someone runs you like that and Rempe's in front of me, I'm taking a beating, but I'm jumping in. That's just, come on. You got to, it solidifies you got your brother's back.
Well, I don't know. You might even be able to take Rempe because he's not even that great of a fighter. He's just big.
I just got to be moving faster than him. That's all you got to do.
But quick jabs to the face.
But you know what I'm saying? Because right now I've noticed this too. The refereeing right now is not bad in the NHL. Some calls we got to go and they're still getting that makeup call. But if you do something stupid, they automatically call it no matter what time of the game it is. Overtime last night, Doughty clipped the guy's leg, tripped him. Didn't matter if there's 20 seconds in overtime. Doughty, that's a penalty. You got to go to the box. I hope that's consistent all the way till we get to the Stanley Cup Finals.
I think so. Especially once we get to the playoffs, it's going to be the better refs in there anyways.
I hope so. You know what I mean?
No, on calls like that, that's always been a gimme in the NHL. Like, you take that stupid penalty, like, it's going to be, especially on a scoring chance, they're going to call it every time.
You got to. You know what I mean? Because it takes away from the integrity of the game.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And the game's getting rougher as it's going along. Like, because especially with the cluster fucks, which we were about to talk about going to the league. Basically, when they come back from the Four Nations, everybody's playing playoff games. You know what I mean? That's which makes the product far more interesting than the NBA.
Sure.
I mean, the NBA, the general manager of the Dallas Mavericks has security taking him to the games now.
But he's been getting death threats,
Yeah, he's got, I mean, like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? I hope we don't have
that. We know what happened. That was a bit of an extreme circumstance leading up to that. Now, people are taking it way too far, granted.
Okay, so, like, when Ryan Hartman comes into the next game when he plays whoever they
Ottawa?
Ottawa. You won't need security guards
No.
to go into the building. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't get that blown away.
Well, Ottawa doesn't have any fans, so.
Oh, boo. Hey, Quebec, you want some home games?
Oh, no. Paul Maurice became the 4th coach in NHL history to reach 900 wins. We already talked about how last year his Stanley Cup ring cemented his Hall of Fame.
No doubt.
Now there's just the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, right?
Does it ever bother you that they ran him out of town?
We've been through this. It was a different circumstance. It was one line that haunted him here.
And that was?
This is the greatest team, or the greatest collection of players I've ever coached, and they missed the playoffs by like
8 points.
10, 15. It was more than that, I think. They were 12th in the East. It was not a good team.
Well, and they had injuries that year. Anyways,
not really.
He's proven to be a great coach.
Yeah, he is a great coach. It just didn't work out in Toronto.
That's unfortunate. I know why they ran
wrong
Ryan
place
Wilson.
at the wrong time.
That's how I assess his situation in Toronto. I understood why they ran Ron Wilson out of town. That's a whole new ballgame.
And Randy Carlyle.
And Randy. Oh, Randy. Never to be seen again, eh?
I mean, he was already kind of old, right?
Yeah, but he was like, it's time to move on from that.
No, he went back to Anaheim, didn't he?
I think he did one more year. It was
a few more years of Anaheim.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. Great technician teacher. Like, especially on the defensive end. That was his.
I think he was just a wrong fit for the Toronto squad that he had.
No doubt. 100%.
Jonathan Quick got his 400th win in his career. Another future Hall of Famer, I'd imagine.
Got to give him his with the Stanley Cup wins. And
Conn Smythe.
And Conn Smythe. Got to give him a shout out, no doubt.
Yep. Nylander scored his second hat trick. 8 years to the day he scored his first. His first was a game against the Boston Bruins in his rookie season. Then he did it in his hometown, Calgary, where he had not scored a goal ever before.
Yes, that was really weird.
Yeah.
Right? When I had heard that. I
mean, they only play in Calgary once a year, so it's not that crazy. But
true. I'm going to put it this way. Are you a fan of Mad Magazine?
I can't say I've ever read it, but
Alfred E. Newman.
I'm a fan of the brand, I would say. Spy versus Spy.
But Alfred E. Newman.
Yeah, he's the mascot, yeah.
I'm calling William Nylander the Alfred E. Newman of the NHL. What, me worry? What's the problem? We got issues here? What do you got? I ain't worried.
That's Nylander in a nutshell.
I'll get my shirt in a minute. Every time I see this guy in the ice, and I watch a lot of hockey, he gets to open space as good as anybody in the NHL, and he's one of the guys that's not afraid to shoot the puck any place, any time.
Yep.
Couple times this week when they got goals, he got assists on. It was his play going to the net that got the goal. They need more of that in Toronto.
So the Leafs obviously had their Western Canadian / Seattle road trip, Northwestern road trip, I guess we can call it. Big win on Saturday against Edmonton. They got away with one with that goal that was called off because of the offside. But the Leafs, best in the league at the offside challenge. I believe
they're like 10-0, 8-0.
I think they have like over 90, like 99% success rate on it since it's come in the league.
Yeah, it's very, very, very good on their part.
That was a crazy game. That was the best that they've had, in terms of entertainment value. That was the best one of that road trip.
Oh, no doubt about it. Because the Leafs aren't playing their open hockey. That's why they're not so entertaining, as that people are saying. But if you're winning, who cares? Yep. They keep on winning. Now, here's another thing you got to remember. You go on a road trip and there's 8 points available and you get 6.
That's a victory.
Take it to the bank, you know what I mean? And they kind of got goal lead last night. Good game. I thought last night's game was highly entertaining.
I thought so too. I missed most of the first because we were still getting back from the game. But
no, it was...
The Leafs didn't have a shortage of chances.
No, definitely not. That was the thing. And they just didn't score, at the right time. Great hockey game, which is why when you put Vancouver in your rankings, I could say after last night's game, I'm considering them. You got to give them some consideration.
Well, and also in their last 10, they beat Washington. They beat another
7-2-1.
They had another good or a victory against another really good team that they had too.
I think they beat Dallas, wasn't it, or Minnesota? Somebody came in and they had to beat them, and they did.
Also about the Leafs, Bobby McMahon, best value in the league.
By far.
1.35 mil for this guy that all he does is score.
No problem. A alumni of the Eastern Hockey League.
That's true.
Think about it. He's come all the way there.
Well, I remember his last few years with the Marlies, it was like, this guy's going to be a player. This guy's going to be a player. And you're like, okay, because as a Leaf fan, you've heard that about a bunch of other guys too, the Pierre Engvalls. I mean, who granted is an NHL player, but there's a lot of shortcomings there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, Andreas Janssens, like those kind of guys. But like Bobby McMahon, like he's a player.
Oh, no doubt
He's a
about
player.
it. And not only that, he's tough. That's what makes a difference. You know, when he goes in front of the net.
Tough skates, scores.
Oh, and he shoots.
Yep.
He can shoot the puck, which leads us to the question, now that we're getting to the break, the 2-week break that every...
And sorry, and not to interrupt, but Pacioretty, ever since he's gotten scratched, he's been a little bit more physical. I don't know if you've noticed.
Come back. Keep you on... What kept you on the ice?
Yep.
Play play the way you're supposed to play that keeps you on the ice.
He was overdoing it a little bit in that game against Seattle. There was like one play where I think he got a little winded, but
yeah, because
I like the effort.
Oh, no, you can't discount the effort at all. That's what I give it to him. And he was playing fourth line minutes.
Yep. Last couple games.
Yeah, so if you got him on your fourth line, he's producing like that, no problem.
I think the goal is to get him back on that second line with Willie and Tavares, but
eventually, because then they'll be able to get that Domi
Robertson, yeah.
Yeah, because that would be a great third line going into the playoffs as we speak. But still, the Toronto Maple Leafs have fallen down a bit because now Florida is 3 points above them. They do have 2 games in hand.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's why I'm not too worried.
Okay, so they should be getting it there. But the question is, as we project it, with the next bunch of games are going to be playoff games. Last 20 games they played, 20-some games they can. Wouldn't it be interesting if Ottawa played Toronto in the first round?
I've been saying this for a few weeks now.
Everybody's kind of looking forward to that. I hope Ottawa keeps there, but they've got some metrics that are scary.
Such as?
A minus goal differential.
How bad?
Minus 11. But here's the real issue.
They started off really bad, though, so I feel like that's
no, they come back a bit,
them,
but here's the real issue. They're like 28th in the league scoring 5-on-5. Or past 25, like they're bottom 6 or 7 team.
But their special teams, are like killing it, aren't they?
Well, they
got the goaltending.
Yes, it's been there, and that's what's been saving them. Thank God. And their defense isn't bad. Their crew defenseman's been pretty solid. The bottom line is, if you don't score 5-5 in those tight playoff games, you're going to be in trouble. Yeah. So there's some red flags that Ottawa.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone's going to say they're going deep in the playoffs. They're probably setting up for a first round exit. No matter really who they play.
Okay, so but you have
if they make it.
Okay, so you got to put it into perspective here. They're still only 4 points behind the Maple Leafs.
Sure.
And that's insane. Like you think of Ottawa, Toronto, you don't even put them in the same room, but they're only 4 points back. So that's got to be some credit for getting that far in.
Absolutely.
As a Canadian team getting them in there. But I'm just saying the metrics say we're going to have some trouble.
Best game ever. It was the Montreal one against Toronto that I was at. And so it flashed on the TV. There's like a Sportsnet highlight show.
I didn't even look at it. Didn't even look on my shoulder because let's tell the truth here. I'm gonna hate to say it. And Serge, let's cut to the chase here, Serge. I know you're gonna get mad. We've had this discussion the other night where we are going everything. Montreal Canadiens are not making the playoffs.
It's after that losing streak that kind of.
Since we lost 7-3 to you guys, we've gone completely off the rails. Played some tough games, but look at.
Yeah.
Got beat 4-0 in our house yesterday by Jersey. We got Tampa Bay today at noon. You know, because we
always a tough one.
That's going to be
12:30 start.
12:30. Yeah. We're getting close, aren't we? I wonder if they're going to black that out. What's going on with TSN? We got an afternoon game.
Or sorry, 1 o'clock that game.
Okay. No,
it is going to be blacked out. It's on TSN too.
You know what, TSN? Eat my shorts.
That's not a TSN thing. That's NHL. That's the deal that they made. It's a regional game.
What a stupid thing to do, though. You're talking Saturday afternoon, a Montreal game. First of all,
they made a deal for a regional game, Cruz. What do you want?
I'm going to say this Saturday afternoon. How many people are in the house watching games on Saturday afternoon unless you're a Habs fan? You want to draw people to the table, put the game on TV anyway. Don't you think like from a numbers point of view? It doesn't make no.
Well, they want you to buy the package. That's why.
Package this, you schmucks. I watch the games in French. I'm good. Okay, so the bottom line is...
Okay, what are we complaining about then?
No, because I'm thinking about everyone saying eyes on, bums in the seats, eyes on the screens, okay? You're taking the opportunity for nobody watching the game because you're blacking it out. On a Saturday afternoon? Come on, now if it was like...
You live in the wrong city for the Habs. What do you want me to say?
I grew up in South Windsor too, so this Toronto Maple Leaf thing bugged me for years. I get it. But you're this Saturday afternoon, bro. This isn't Edmonton at 9 o'clock. On a Wednesday night. I get it. You want everybody...
That's the negotiation they made.
Okay, after we start
Take it up with the Habs.
Once we replace the national anthem with Grace 2, what we're going to do is, games like this, just don't black them out. It's better for your product, in my opinion.
Oh, and Ottawa is 6 points back at Toronto.
Oh, 6. Is it 6 now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Toronto is a game in hand, though, on
Oh,
Ottawa.
yeah, that's true. 6, not 4. Okay, because, they lost yesterday. Got their asses kicked. Florida couldn't score. The thing I was telling you about. But in any event, that was there. Now, my other pet peeve of the week is when you're talking about a second away from the goal. Thank God we're watching Toronto games, and I also seen it in the San Jose game. What the hell is goaltender interference? Can you help me out, please? The first 2 goals.
This is becoming like, what is a catch in football?
Oh, the first 2 goals in the Calgary game, both goals should have counted on both sides. You know what I mean? There was a little tug on Wall. Puck was in the net. Mm-hmm. Same with the other one. Buddy was screened. Puck was behind him. Then there was a bump. Like, those were goals. And then Nyes get that one.
The high stick?
The high stick.
Oh, that was against Seattle.
Seattle, that's what I'm saying. He gets the high stick goal or not? That was a high stick, bro.
It looked like a high stick.
You know
My brothers defend that one. I'm like,
that's hard to defend. And, don't say it's a Toronto Maple Leaf call because everybody gets their calls. And you know what? I'm not a Leaf guy, as you well know, but you guys take a shit kicking about everything, eh?
Oh, I haven't noticed.
Oh, my God.
I've only been dealing with this for the last 20 years.
Okay, but at the same time, I don't really notice it because it doesn't matter to me. Okay, as a Habs guy, I don't really give a flying fuck.
Oh, it's like being a Kansas City Chiefs fan. It's like, the referees must love you.
Yeah, but no, it's about everything that Toronto does. Like
I know.
Everything that you do. Like, just look at the timing of the games. When the West Coast teams get the time shift, that's just like, we're going to have a baby now. We're pissed. You know what I mean? All the little things, and they say get the break, or Toronto gets this time, or one of the things you said, which I did not know.
I don't get why people are so upset about afternoon games, though, especially as a fan. Like, you can have it where, like, you go to the game and go to dinner after. Like, what's the big deal?
Saturday afternoon can be a busy time for some people. So they put the game on, the Hab game. Okay. I ran in the house because the Hab game was on. Some people just don't do it. It's a weird time to do it. They do it in the States a lot for the kids, the 1 o'clock games, which is really cool because you get them in there.
I don't know, maybe just like as a baseball fan here, I'm just kind of used to that.
Oh, no, I agree with you. That's a interesting perspective. I'm just saying that it doesn't bother me, but the hate that I've heard from Toronto in the last month, next level.
Like, I would change this because of Toronto.
And you know what? I've been out west.
Suck it up, McDavid. You're playing to the 7 o'clock game on Hockey Night Canada. That should be an honor.
I take it one step further. Was he bitching when he lived in Newmarket?
I don't think so.
Let's
he grew up wearing the blue and white.
Oh, he still probably bleeds it in a weird way. But the bottom line is, I don't care about when they start the game. The hate is on is huge. But I think about these disallowing the goals, and then they point. It just said it was out of the 5 or 6 that came up this week, 3 of them were in Leaf games. Mm-hmm. So then it's been more glaring because more people can point the finger at Toronto. You know what I mean? Not that I care. But
I think with the high stick one, like, they're going to say there was no definitive angle. But, like, my thing is, like, why don't you just have, like, a series of cameras in the offensive zone at crossbar level just to remove all doubt? It can't be that hard to implement.
I agree because it got the camera from the back. So when you see those ones that hit the back of the post, they don't put it in. They look at the replay. They can see it was in the net.
Yep.
So it should be there. It's like replay assist in NFL. Technology should be able to tell you.
Yeah, just have like 7 or 8 cameras in the offensive zone, just like in case, like, one of them's blocked or whatever. That's it.
That would make huge sense. But that's going to be controversy going down the end, and I hope we don't see any of this when the playoffs come around because my
can you
God,
imagine?
It's just going to be freaking Warren Commission shit.
I imagine the league probably put up a memo to like those guys, like, hey, let's make sure we get this right for playoffs.
That's what drives me nuts, though. That's what we don't see behind the commercials. You always hear about these memos coming out in the NFL, memos coming out in the NBA, memos coming out in the NHL. Why? That just tells me that you're screwing up. Okay, so...
Well, I mean, that's human nature.
Okay, so
no one's perfect.
Okay, so I hope they don't do this because they were talking about how they make errors. The 2-minute report in the NBA is the most good, bad, ugly thing that's ever happened in sports. They were talking about referees' performances, but we don't have a review in the NHL. I hope we don't.
Like, we don't need that.
No, that's what I'm saying. So why would we put it out there so we get more shit to talk about so that more people can get angry and more people can throw shit and more people can... I mean, I'm a professional hater, but, I mean, sometimes you got to accept the fact of what goes on the ice. Sometimes it's good for your team. Sometimes it's good for the other team. Over a period of time, you hope it evens out.
Are you surprised that the NBA still has the last 2-minute report?
They can't take it away now. They can't now because guys are looking for it. Press is looking for it. Why didn't you make that call? Oh, was that on the line? Was it a hack?
Interesting take.
Yeah, no, they put it out there now.
If I was commissioner, I just wouldn't care. I'd be like, this is hurting the game. You have to do what's best.
Gambling.
Again, it doesn't change the result.
No, but then they're trying to justify someone that just lost freaking $1,000 on a 1 point.
You're not getting that money back.
No, of course you're not.
I'm gonna email FanDuel to demand my money back.
Yeah, no, it's not working that way. So that's what I'm just saying. It's kind of like a weird thing to be. You're pointing out the fact that you're going to make gamblers crazy and everybody else. So why don't we just not bring it up at all? That's what I'm saying. The NHL, because I don't know who I heard. Maybe it was on the NHL Network or someone talking about it when they have a review, and someone brought up about the 2-minute report. No. We don't need that.
I don't think the NHL. They've never shown any interest, so I don't imagine why they'd start now.
They were because the issue was talking about these disallowed goals.
Yeah.
Getting how do you get behind that? You know what I mean? Because it's kind of weird. It's kind of at the moment. Well, we're gonna wait and see. And you know what? I'll tell you this much. I don't think it's really hurt the product on the ice this year because I'm gonna say it again and again and again and again. Last night, 2 marquee games in the NBA. You heard what I thought of those games. We go back to the beginning of the show. Look at the marquee games in the NHL last night. Vancouver and Toronto. Great
game.
There you go. So your entertainment value is much better. So I don't think you need a procedure to tell you what's wrong with your product when you're getting freaking the quality of play you're seeing in the NHL this year. Just my take.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Forgot to mention Marcus Pettersson, the newly acquired Marcus Pettersson signed a 6-year, $33 million contract with the Vancouver Canucks for a $5.5 million cap hit. They needed a defensive defenseman. They got one.
100%.
And that should push Tyler Myers down the lineup. Did you see, my brother sent me a video. It was one of the biggest hockey bloopers I've seen in a long time. Tyler Myers he's at the blue line, kind of like lost the puck. Instead of just retrieving it right there, he skates all the way back.
Yes, that was weird.
That was so
They
weird.
were showing that. Like, what was he doing? He smoking something before the game?
I think he just panicked. He just shed
It
his
looked
pants.
like a panic move.
Yeah.
It looked like a panic move, 100%. But you got a chance at the puck.
I don't get it.
Maybe that's why he's in the position he is as a defenseman in the NHL.
Yep.
There you go.
Well, he was getting too much ice time in Vancouver, which I think was a detriment to their team.
At times, 100%.
Is there anything else about your Habs that you want to bring up?
I'm just going to say this, and people hate to say it. Lanny get in shape. He's a Luka Doncic of our team. Oh, no. He up and down the ice, go to the bench. I think that they should have brought Logan Mayo up a long time ago.
Is he back up with the team?
Yeah, he scored a goal. He's knocking people out in front of the net. He played really well. He was maybe their best defenseman yesterday against Jersey, which is not saying much in a 4-0 loss. But, he played some minutes yesterday. I think he should be up there. It's just the problem is this. The issues that we had a very, very hot streak. And I say you couldn't lose 3 or 4 in those streaks because you're going to be right back to where you started. It's even been worse. What are we now? 2-8 in the last 10?
3-6-1.
3-6-1. Yeah, we're just, first of all, we don't have depth scoring. We're competitive as hell. You know what I mean? Like Jersey got a power play goal, and then I think another power play goal, and then they scored a goal late, and then we just could never catch up to them. But we have the pieces, and I think we're going to make a playoff run next year, 100%. You know, because we got the.
You said the same thing last year, to be fair.
Okay, well, I'm going to say we did almost have a playoff run. We got farther ahead than you expected.
Well, I mean, you guys
the end results are probably going to be the same.
Okay, I said you guys would be last in the division. You're second last.
Okay, but the bottom line is, we said there was no way they were going to make the playoffs. All of a sudden, we jumped up and got everyone's attention. We were pretty steady, but all our flaws showed up at the same time. And the same thing that killed us back in September and October is now killing us in February. And unfortunately, Serge, we're not making the playoffs. Unless we win 10 in a row. We come back and we win. We got to have an 8-game winning streak or something like that. Like, look how far we are behind now.
Like, 5 points back.
Yeah, 5 points back. And we all got to play those teams.
And you have how many teams to jump? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and we got
which I think is worse than the points.
No kidding. And not only that, we got to play all of those teams. So we're going to beat every one of those teams. Like, I think everyone that's in front of us, when we come back in the first 10 games back, we play every one of those teams. So are we going to sweep them? Huh. I hope so.
That's not true, though. You don't play those teams right away.
We're going to get them, though.
You play the Isle. That's okay. So you play Ottawa
Uh-huh.
the first Saturday back in Ottawa.
We got Jersey again, I believe.
You have another game against Ottawa in mid-March, and then followed by a game against the Islanders. And then April, you got Boston and Detroit and Ottawa. You played Carolina a couple times, but I don't think they're really... They're not going to factor into Montreal's playoff chase.
It's going to be when we play Carolina. Can we catch them off guard?
He's played them 3 times, though, down the stretch.
Carolina?
Yeah.
Thanks. Do you think that the sometimes that the guys are off the ice is because the scheduling has been too tight?
How so? Like, what do you mean?
We hear a lot of nagging injuries, people getting banged up, and they said it was because of the condensed schedule because of the 4 nations. You think that's really a factor?
Could be. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to play one here.
Neither am I. I'm just wondering about it, considering that your Toronto Maple Leafs had more back-to-backs than anybody else. Mm-hmm. But they're done their back-to-backs. So
yes,
that's kind of good. You know what I mean? So you guys are going to come back fresh with no back-to-back. I think you have no back-to-backs for the rest of the year, right? Or one?
Not too many. And I mean, no one needed this break more than Morgan Riley. I love the guy, but he's having such a rough season. I'm actually scared he's going to get traded.
Are you serious?
It can't be out of the question the way he's playing. I'm not saying I would trade him, but...
So you're going to say that you'd put him on the trade block at the trade deadline?
That's not what I said. I said I wouldn't trade him.
Oh, okay.
But I'm worried the team might be thinking that. And the Leafs have
where there's smoke, there's fire.
3, 4...
I find it very...
5, 6 back-to-backs.
Still?
Yep.
Wow. Yep. Wow. And they had the most ever so far. I thought it was less than that. In any event, you caught me off guard there. I've never even thought of Riley in trading. Where are you going to get a guy like that anyway? He'll be fine.
Every team in the league would be after him.
No doubt. Every team in the league is looking for a guy like that at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
But what are you going to get in return?
I don't know. Well, it could be part... I don't know. It might have to be like a 3-team trade. Yeah. I don't know. We'll see. Okay. I don't know. That's just my concern.
Maybe they'll trade Riley for Crosby.
Sure, let's do that.
And a first-round pick.
There you
go.
We're getting a first-round pick, too?
I don't know about that, but there's a good trade. Sid can't stay there forever. Pittsburgh's going to be worse next year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's why he's staying there. I have no doubt.
Okay, I've got it. So, do you also agree another point here? If it was the old way and we went 1-16, and we had a more balanced schedule like they did back in the day, which is good, bad, or ugly. Any way you want to look at it. You can argue for one way.
1-16 is never going to work because of the schedule. I think 1-8, I think, for each conference is the way it should be.
I'll go with that.
Yeah, just like the NBA does it.
Yeah, that would be better there. My point being is, do you think that the East is that much better than the West? West is that much better than the East? I'm saying
overall,
no.
I think the East is has better competitive teams overall, but I think the West is more top heavy.
I would say that too, because
they have better teams at the top overall. I would say.
But the last couple of years, the West has always been talked about the better conference, right?
But the West, also have a lot all the bad teams.
San Jose,
Chicago, Nashville.
There you go. So what I'm saying this year, if you just look at the Atlantic Division alone, you're talking about that's probably the most competitive division this year.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Even though the Vegas division is pretty tough too.
Yeah, but they have San Jose and Anaheim in there who are doing too
There you
hot.
go. So in any event,
Seattle's not doing too well.
I think that Seattle's in between days, but maybe they'll get there. But I'm saying that the competitive balance in the two conferences, I think, is a lot closer. Like, you can't just come out and say that the Western Conference is better than the Eastern Conference this year. I just don't think there's any talk about that.
Agreed.
Because there's just too many teams at the top that are playing better. And I think it's going to be great. I think what's going to be really interesting is when we get down to the final 4 teams in each conference. I think those games this year is going to be amazing because what 4 teams are going to be left over in each conference? That's a big question right now.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Especially you don't know who's going to play who in the first round, and there's always seems to be an upset somewhere. So it's going to be quite interesting, I'm saying there, which is why a lot of things I heard someone said the top teams in Canada, who has the best chance of winning the Stanley Cup, and they were rating them. Of course, Montreal was at the bottom. And who was the Canadian team that was most likely to win the Stanley Cup? Everybody's saying Edmonton.
Yeah. Well, they were just there in the finals.
There you go. And they're probably hungrier, which is really, really where the Winnipeg Jets are starting to get the Toronto Maple Leaf syndrome about what have you done for me in the playoffs? So it's going to be huge. Like, Winnipeg has to win a couple of playoff rounds this year to be a successful season. Anything less than that's a disaster.
Yeah.
Would have to be.
Yeah, especially the way they went out last year.
Exactly, and not only that, but look where they stand. They're running away with their division. They're comfortably ahead of everybody else. They got a good shot at probably being the Adams.
Yeah, if they get the President's Trophy cursed, that'd be the worst case scenario for them.
Well, that's what everyone's saying. Do you really want to win that? Then they say that's why the Leafs took the foot off the pedal.
I don't know if I buy that, but
I'm just picking on the Leafs.
We're already 2 hours into the show. You want to do a little Four Nations preview?
Okay, let's do a Four Nations preview.
So first of all, injury replacements. Drew Doughty is going to be replacing Alex Pietrangelo, which I kind of called. Heiskanen and Hakanpää out for Finland, being replaced by Vakanainen and Joki Haru. Joki Haru is the guy that I thought should be there on day one. Mark Strumman and William Karlsson out for Sweden. They'll be replaced by Samuel Ersson and Ricard Raquel. And also word coming out that Logan Thompson did not make Team Canada because of his poor experiences with, or rather the coach's poor experiences with him being Bruce Cassidy and Pete DeBoer.
I just think that's a weird thing because, like, they took it personal. Sounds like personal shit to me. I'll take them. Listen, we've had some funky-ass goalies over the years.
Sure.
Okay, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to put anything that I'm adding to someone's character when they've been of greatness. But we could pick out a few off the top of our heads that we don't have to say. And anyone listening is probably running those players through their heads as we speak. Logan Thompson should be on Team Canada.
100%.
Okay, so another thing is our boy in Winnipeg. What's his problem, too? Everyone says, oh, you keep...
Scheifele?
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's going back to, we've already said this. Who's ever running Team Canada is starting to give me the World Junior creeps. Okay?
Well, the Scheifele one, though, that was... a lot of things that went down there were arguably hurting his own team there in Winnipeg. I don't want to get into rumors because obviously nothing there is...
Allegedly?
Yeah, exactly.
Allegedly. Okay, look at his performance on the ice.
I gotcha.
There's nothing alleged about that.
But keep it also in mind that whenever you're making these decisions for third line, fourth line players for Canada, there's 1,000 different ways you can go.
5 guys were left off the World Junior team that had a combined 170 some points. What was our problem with World Juniors? We couldn't fucking score. We left 169 points on, like, we don't like finding reasons why you couldn't put scoring in your lineup because we're going to do the great Canadian character thing.
Okay, but you can't really say that about the Four Nations team there. Because, look who we have in the lineup.
Okay.
We have plenty of scorers. We're fine there. I'm okay. Like, it's about picking the right guys over the best guys. Correct?
Okay. I'm saying...
Correct? Is that true?
Well, who's the best guys?
Well, there's a debate there.
Okay, so I'm saying...
But your argument is about, it's purely like is one of the best guys, he should be there. And I'm saying, well, let's hold off. It's about the right group of players. You need guys that can fill certain roles, can do certain things. Because, okay, if you're just going to take all the best guys, like, not all those guys can play penalty kill, right?
Okay.
All those guys can, like, play that grinding fourth line role. You got to think about that. Is Scheifele going to be the best fourth line player for Canada? I'm not completely buying that. I'm not crying that he's left off the team.
Okay, I'm going to put it this way. When we own hockey. We're at the House of Happens. We go there. Anyone says anything else, fuck you. I'm proud to be Canadian. We own hockey. So when I was a kid, when we used to get teams together, they'd get all these guys there. And my history says we won a lot doing that way. So
Different circumstances, though, because the rest of the countries had not caught. Like, okay, maybe the Soviets. They were the only ones that could play with us.
Okay, so I'm going to put it this way. If you're a professional hockey player and they say, this is your role now, okay? When Steve Yzerman first got on the team,
but you also need guys that can play those roles, that have the tools to do that. It's not as simple as like, oh, you're on the team, you got to play fourth line, you got to do this. Some guys are just going to be better at than others just because of their
we're not going to have Pavel Bure sitting at center ice waiting for the cherry pick gold.
Or on the fourth line.
Okay, but what I'm saying is this. You're going to come out there and it's your role. The classic example was Gilbert Perreault, one of the best centers in the NHL. Got to camp and said, you know what, Jill, want to play on left wing with Guy Lafleur and Gretzky? Okay. One of the greatest lines I've ever seen in a long time. Gilbert Perreault never played left wing. He was a center, Hall of Fame center.
Moving to wing is the easiest thing you could do. Any hockey player will tell you that.
Okay, so...
defenseman to wing, center to wing, that's an easy transition.
Okay, so Sergei Fedorov should have been a defenseman?
Arguably could have been, if you ask Scotty Bowman.
Yes, okay, everybody knows that. But my point being is this. If you're a professional hockey player, you've been to enough camps. You've been going from midget, major, junior, world championship, NHL. Okay, buddy, we're going to play 6 games. All you have to do, I've seen your skating ability. All I want you to do is skating up down the wing and make sure that motherfucker don't get the puck. That's all you got to do. If you're a great skater and you can check, like, okay, imagine it was Mitch Marner. If they put Mitch Marner on the fourth line.
Not going to happen.
Of course not. But if he was on the fourth line, do you think he would be an effective player on the fourth line? Of course.
Well, he's a penalty killer, so he can do some of those things.
Okay,
maybe some of the physical aspects of being a fourth liner.
We're asking you, if you're playing in the NHL and you're this good of a hockey player, can you adjust for 6 games? Buddy, you're not going to be on the power play on the defense. What you're going to do is you're going to be the stay-home guy, and you clear out front of that. That's all we want you to do.
Got you.
Then I'll take a guy he's probably more of a scorer, but you're big enough, strong enough to do this. Then this is what you're going to do there. This is a short tournament. It's all about chemistry and how fast you can get it, and let's put it together. Okay? So right off the top, I'm going to say this right now. I'm looking at our lineup, and I'm saying that let's go down, okay? Let's go look at the Yank lineup, okay? Let's look at their forwards right now. Arguably, we're going to say it's on paper, but, okay, they've got scoring and they've got grinding, and they look like some of the best. I don't see many American forwards that they left off this team that are playing as good as they are playing right now.
Sure.
Not many guys. Cole Caulfield's the exception, and I don't want to say that because I'm biased to Hab guys, but he's played way better than I expected, so I can understand that. But the rest of these guys, look at the team. Even Dylan Larkin.
Yeah.
Dylan Larkin's probably going to be a fourth-line center.
Probably.
And guess what your role is going to be, Dylan?
Or third. I would say third.
Whatever the case may be, he's not going to be first-line power play guy.
No.
Okay, but look, now you're going to have him in your third line. What do you want to have him on? He's a great skater. All you got to do is shadow a guy. That's all. That's what I'm saying. You know, I'd rather have a guy of this quality doing that. Now, the guy on we team is you got to have those other guys, the Bob Gainey, so to speak, in your team. We got Sam Bennett. Hey, same thing where they got Chris Kreider. They got Brock Nelson. These guys are a little bit of a banger. They can do a little bit.
I don't think they should have taken Chris Kreider, but
I don't think they should have either. That's the only one I question. But I mean, look at the type of player he is and look at the way he is in the playoffs. So they're going to give him his reputation on that. But what
they get the ice time to do that, though.
What's that?
Well, they get the ice time to
play on the fourth line and bang people. You're good, Kreider. That's my point. That's what I'm saying. I don't think we took enough time to think about some of the other guys around the league that should have played in this team. We went with
the only guy the Zach Hyman being left off the team is the one that I'm really questioning.
Scheifele or whatever his name on Winnipeg. That's the guy driving me absolutely crazy. And even when you look on their defense back there, well, their defense might not be as good as ours. I'm going to argue about that either way. Bottom line is I
think their defense is better than ours.
I think it could be a little bit better too. You know what I mean? And guys that are going 2 ways.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that could be a little better.
That might be the thing with the U.S., though. I think they're a little bit too offensive-minded with the guys that they chose.
But if you play your role on the other lines to check, like the Dylan Larkins, you know what I mean? The Jake.
Yeah, but all it takes is for one of these. Oh, my God, Utah's already up 2-0 on Washington. Woo!
Is this the last game, right?
This is live.
They took the day off. They're taking the day off. They got their plane tickets. They're all going to Cancun.
But my point for the U.S. defenseman is all it takes is for one of these guys to pinch at the wrong time.
That's what we're hoping for. And here's the big question now. Quinn Hughes, has that played? He didn't play last night?
No.
Okay. Which should have been an advantage to you guys, but you guys got goalie. But that's not the point.
Either way.
This is what I'm starting to question about the whole Four Nations thing. What are you playing for? Is it valuable enough for you to have any kind of nagging whatever when your team's in a fight to go for the Stanley Cup Finals? Are you going to take the time to go play 6 meaningless games?
4 games. 4 games max. You're playing 3 or 4.
5 to win it all, isn't it?
4. 3 round robin games in a final. That's it.
So you're going to play 5 games.
4. 3 round robins plus the final. That's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Should be interesting. So you're only playing 4 games. Okay,
if you make it to the final, yeah.
Okay, so anyway, the level of competition is going to be a little bit higher. Anything can happen in a game like this. For example, is if Marner gets a chance to drill Matthews, is he going to do it?
I don't think he's going to get that chance.
Well, you know what I'm just saying, hypothetically. Like, there's going to be guys on different teams doing different roles. You got a chance to go and drill this guy. Are you going to do it?
Of course you will.
We're going to have to wait and see. If I said it was the Olympics, I'm going to say it's a completely different ball game. If I'm going to say it's like a World Cup.
Come on, these are competitive guys. They're not going to go there just to go there. If they're there, they want to win.
What are you winning?
The Four Nations face-off.
Emirates Cup. Emirates Cup.
So you want to go there and lose is your point.
No, I'm
then
not
why
saying...
then why else are you fucking showing up? This is the dumbest argument I've heard in my life, and I'm sick of it.
I'm not stopping.
You're going to the tournament, you're there to win. End of story. Otherwise, go the fuck home.
That's what's going to start happening. How many guys are going to be dropped? Rantanen suddenly questionable.
Well, the roster's finalized tomorrow, so we'll know.
Tomorrow's the final?
Tomorrow's the final day to know the roster.
I'm going to say this, and we've said this before. We have diametrically opposed views of this. So I'm going to be cautiously optimistic and hope I get the quality of games I'm looking for. Yes, I'm going to watch the games. If I said I wasn't,
because I heard this bullshit before the 2016 World Cup too, and guess what? Those were great games.
No, but that was World Cup. Everybody was there.
What do you mean? It was 2 fake teams there.
Which 2 fake teams?
North America and Europe.
Okay.
It was 6 countries and 2 fake teams. Come on. At least it's all real teams. These are the best 4 nations talking. Minus Russia, I get that. They're persona non grata. It sucks. Whatever. Let's move on.
How come the Czechs aren't in?
They're not as good as the other 4.
Okay, my take in is this. I'm just saying...
It's also the NHL testing the waters with a mid-season tournament like this.
Which I am diametrically opposed to that.
Why is that?
Because I'm just saying it doesn't do enough and you're putting too much pressure on guys to do things that don't matter. I'm more worried about the Stanley Cup Finals and bring me down there.
What?
I'm telling you. What's Milwaukee going to do with their...
Milwaukee?
What's Milwaukee going to do with their Emirates Cup win? What is that doing for them right now?
What do you mean? They got money.
Well, that's all.
You're comparing apples and oranges.
I don't know.
This is an international tournament. International pride is on the line. Come on.
I'm hoping it's that way, and I hope they play Grace 2 before the start of the games in Canada. That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for much.
Canada and the USA are going to play, and you're going to shut up. That's my prediction.
Okay, so I'm going to put it to you this way. This is the age-old age gap situation here. I've grown old and cynical and jaded. I will put that on.
I can tell.
Okay, so I've seen a lot of hockey over my career and the way that they put things together. When I first heard about this, I was excited too. The closer we get to it, I keep having too many, you know what I'm thinking? Shouldn't be having that going in there. And I hope none of them comes to fruition. I hope I am completely wrong. I hope you get
But most of your complaints just have to do with like how Canada chose their team, which is a completely separate issue. That's a Hockey Canada issue.
Okay, so they're number 1. So I'm already worried about that. Number 2, I'm worried about what are you playing for? And number 3, I'm worried about the level of competition. I think
the level of competition is going to be fantastic.
Okay, I'm going to say I hope I am right. I hope you are right. I'm hoping it goes this way. I'm just saying that I'm going to be the guy that's going to be talking about the boogeyman in the room, and we'll see when they drop the puck and see what happens.
I don't believe in the boogeyman.
Tease around. I'm going to look at it this way. I'm going to wait to see when they get on the ice and the pace. I think the first period of every game is going to be high level.
100%.
I think they're going to go at it. Then it's going to settle into I don't know what. That's what I'm worried about. Another thing I'm worried about now, okay? You lose the first 2 games in the round robin. What are you going to do in the 3rd game?
Cruz, you're acting like you've never watched professional sports before. Guys embrace the role of spoiler. I'm not worried about that at all. It's a non-issue. It's a non-starter. We're already 2:12 into this. We need to move on.
Okay, people, did you hear this? We're going to go next. We have definitely disagreement about this. So let's disagree on this. We hope we get great hockey. And I hope, like I said, I'll say once again, I hope all the doubts that I have in my mind do not happen. I have my doubts. Okay, I have my doubts. I wish there was something, like I said, what are they going to raise at the end? You win it all. What are they going to give you?
They'll probably have some trophy. They have to.
And they play Grace 2 when we win. Okay, as long as they play Grace 2. That's all I'm happy with. Okay, that's enough. Okay, before we go.
We're going to do some picks for the 4 Nations game. And we should mention that for our Saturday night picks, 2 weeks ago, I won 6-4. Last night, you won 8-7. I'm winning the series 8-7 overall. And I have the tiebreaker by 10 points.
That's not even good. We got a ways to go, but I'm behind the 8 ball. Just want to say, when you're gambling last night, you seen my 6-game parlay? Looked pretty good till LA lost in the shootout. It's called gambling, people.
All right. So first up on Wednesday night, we have Canada-Sweden.
That's in Montreal, right?
Yes.
Okay, and the other games in Boston,
right?
No,
so the first 2 round robin games are in Montreal. The rest of the games move to Boston. The last round robin and the final.
Okay, so
Canada, Sweden from Montreal. I'm going to take Canada to win that game.
Not even an issue. They'll win that one. And I think the Americans will beat the Finns.
Finns, I think so too.
That'll be right there.
Then a couple days, the Saturday night games are Finland, Sweden, and USA, Canada, the rivalry matchups.
Saturday night in Montreal. We got an advantage there. I'll give that to us.
I think we're gonna win that too.
Yep.
And then, are you taking Sweden to beat the Finns?
I'll say a Finnish upset.
Ooh, I'm gonna take Sweden.
Okay.
And then the final round robin game, Canada, Finland. I'm gonna take Canada to win that.
And I say the goalie on Sweden steals the game and beats the Yanks.
No, I say USA wins.
I think the final is going to be Yanks and the Americans.
Yanks and the Americans?
I mean, Yanks and the Canadians. And the being in Boston Garden is going to be a little bit advantage for the Americans.
I'm worried about that final, I'll be honest.
When we're talking about programming and TSN and corporate and where they decide the things end up, stop it.
It was a bidding process.
Was it?
Yeah. All this stuff in the NHL, All-Star games, drafts, you got to bid for that.
So you mean Toronto couldn't outbid Boston for the final in the Four Nations Cup?
They already hosted the World Cup last time around, so
right.
they're probably, okay, Toronto, take a break for a little bit, right?
There's 100%.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. The Toronto bias again, but forget about that. I think it's very interesting. I'm glad that you brought it up. I said, oh, gee, look how this worked out. They're going to have the final in Boston.
They bid for it.
Well, then why did Montreal get the final?
They didn't bid enough. Talk to your boys.
ESPN had nothing to do with this, I guaranteed. Not.
Either way, we will move this on to the Super Bowl.
Okay, one thing.
So first of all, before we get to that, I got to talk about our preseason picks because that's all finalized now.
Okay, see how we did here.
So, me, you, and Pick, we each got one player award right. I picked MVP correctly. I said it would be Josh Allen.
Who did I pick?
You said Goff.
Okay, well, that was just, he was a finalist.
None of us got Defensive Player of the Year right. I said, ended up being Surtain. I said TJ Watt. You said Will Anderson Jr.?
Yeah.
And then Kevin Pick said Micah Parsons. Offensive Rookie of the Year, you predicted Jaden Daniels correctly. Mm-hmm. And Defensive Rookie of the Year, Kevin Pick predicted it versus winning it.
Good call on his part. Good.
Overall, though, me and you tied for overall picks. We each got 9 plus an asterisk because you said Buffalo would be a wild card, not win the division. I said the Rams would make the wild card, not win their division. So
that was a backwards one, right?
Yeah. So me and you tied. Kevin Pick was 2 behind us.
Way to go, Pick. Way to go.
Overall, pretty good.
Yeah, not bad considering it was preseason. We get to hear now. Who did I pick to play Kansas City in the?
We didn't do Super Bowl picks.
Oh, we didn't do Super. Yeah, because we said wait till it's going on. I'm just going to find out. Like we mentioned it earlier. Okay, there's a lot of weird things about going on this week in the Super Bowl. First of all, I always want to go to New Orleans. They're saying New Orleans is getting to be a state city to host the Super Bowl now.
State city?
Yeah, like. First of all, people are very uncomfortable about the.
I hear the sales are down. Like they're yeah.
That's there too.
Is that because New Orleans is just like a kind of a not so nice city, shall we say?
That's exactly the point, and it's really, really sad because what's going on is right now they say the streets are armed and dangerous because the president's going to show up for the Super Bowl. But
oh fuck.
I think that it was, and I'm glad for his honesty. I'm very glad for his honesty. Luke Wilson's in New Orleans. Did you hear his perspective of being in New Orleans right now?
No.
Oh, he said he's walking down the street and he goes, "Old New Orleans, this is amazing." You take a left turn on the street and you go, "Oh God, I shouldn't be on this street."
I'm kind of scared to go to New Orleans.
Well, that factors in there. Plus the fact that the high level of security on the streets has got some people saying that if you got to have this much security on the street, what am I doing here?
Yeah,
that's another factor.
I have a theory too with the ticket sales being down. Like, I'd imagine they're still charging what they were charging for Vegas last year, and New Orleans ain't Vegas.
There you go. And I think that that this is her. I don't know if New Orleans, when's their next bid for Super Bowl? It could be a while. But I think
it's like a 5 or 6 year like rotation, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
if
like
they're in the
Tampa,
next rotation.
Miami,
Yeah.
LA, Vegas.
Because you got to have it in the sun unless it's a new arena.
Dallas
get that.
is in the rotation.
Like when Buffalo gets their new arena, they get a Super Bowl?
No, because it doesn't have a roof.
Okay. Too bad, Buffalo, but I love their aesthetic. And anyways, you got that factor going on. You got the fact that the NBA pulled out so much drama that they hugged the headlines. Okay, number 3. I'm sick of the Kansas City fatigue, and you and I have discussed this. We are watching greatness. We're watching something I watched almost every, like my first.
The hate makes no sense.
No.
Like, I don't get how Mahomes is hated. Andy Reid, one of the greatest coaches of all time, could be the greatest coach of all time.
Arguably, yes.
Yeah. I'll defend my boy Belichick until the very end, though.
Of course you should.
That's all said and done. Kelsey, what? Just because he's going out with Taylor Swift? The media's way calmed down with her, so I don't really think that you can blame that anymore.
Well, we already put that on there. Like, I mean, everybody brings their girlfriend to the game. Shut up. Okay?
He just happens to be going out with the biggest pop star on the planet right now.
Lucky him.
Yeah.
Looks all good. They seem to be happy. Leave them alone. Hope they have kids. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, the New England hate at the time was great. But you know what? Is it this simple? Look at the personality of Tom Brady and look at the personality of Mahomes. I think they're both great guys. Something about Mahomes rubs people the wrong way, and I haven't figured it out. Is it the fact that he's come on the scene and been so great for so quickly, so long? I'm not disrespecting that. No, because they had the 10-year stretch where they didn't, so they didn't win one. They still got the Super Bowls. But the fact is, Brady went to 10.
9.
Was it 9?
9.
Oh, whatever the case may be. So he lost 2? I thought he lost 3.
No, he lost 2, both to the Giants.
No, he lost to Philadelphia.
Oh, to the Eagles too. Yeah,
so
you're right.
Yeah, so they got 10. Okay, so he went to 10 Super Bowls. Mahomes looks like he's on the way there. I'm saying
it's already been to 5, yeah.
Yeah, think about that, and he's 29. The bottom line is we are witnessing one of the greatest football players we're ever going to see in our life. We should be glad we're on the earth at the same time to see something of this greatness. No one has ever won 3 Super Bowls in a row. That was unheard of. When Buffalo went 4 times in a row, they said lucky if someone will ever get to 3 in a row. Here we are.
Yep.
And you got to give it credit.
Well, Patriots got to 3 in a row as well.
No, they did.
Yes, they did. They lost that middle one to the Eagles. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And Miami got to it once back in the day. I think Miami went to 3 in a row. They won.
They only
one.
won one.
No, they won 2.
They won 2.
They lost 1 and won 2. The bottom line, and the way that the game has changed, and the salary cap being even more stringent than it was, because the argument is back in the day you could keep those seasons together for a lot longer.
Oh yeah.
I will acquiesce all this. This is greatness, people. This is greatness at its finest. And if you can't respect that, why should you hate now? I'm going to contradict myself right now, because if the Boston Bruins were 80-0 going into the final game of the season, I'd hate for those fuckers to win anything. Okay, so but like that's my individual personal hate.
Well, and that's like a rival of your favorite team. That's fine, but like, not everyone's a Raiders fan. Not everyone's a Chargers fan. You know, like it's insane.
And you know what even makes me crazier? They're saying, "Oh, we're getting the same game we got 2 years ago." Last time I checked, 2-year Super Bowl was one of the best Super Bowls we've ever seen.
I don't know why people would complain about that.
That's what I'm saying. So we could get a game of that caliber today. And like what people aren't understanding is that this is a worthy opponent, considered the best roster in football, and now they're in the Super Bowl playing against one of the greatest dynasties that's ever existed in the game. And people are having fatigue, and people are bitching, and people say they're not watching the game, and I don't like this. And
who's not watching the game?
That's like me saying I'm not watching the Four Nations. Same shit.
Okay? There you go. I'm glad you admitted that you're wrong with the Four Nations. That's on tape. We got him, people. We got him.
In any event, I only think what has happened here is because so many other things happened this week in so many ways that distracted so many people that they forgot it was Super Bowl week. That's all. But now we are Saturday afternoon and we're getting the game together. You tell me how many places are getting ready for the Super Bowl as we speak right now in North America, probably in the world.
Just about everywhere.
Thank you very much. Girls are watching the game today. You know what I mean? And I like the prop things when one of the prop things, and we don't want to bring her up too much about. I said to you, if we had to bring it up, like one of the interesting props is Taylor Swift is 10-0 when making appearances at Kansas City games. Okay, here's a couple other things. I'm looking
kind of makes me more optimistic for Kansas City because I was leaning Philly.
Well, we'll get to that in a minute. Here's the interesting stats that I say can trends be broken. Teams that have played each other this quickly in the Super Bowl back-to-back, the winning team has won every time.
Wow.
Yeah, like if you get to, we go look back when Denver played Dallas again, Buffalo played Dallas again, shit like that. It's come around.
Denver, San Fran.
Yeah, shit like that. Kansas City, San Fran.
Yeah.
Okay, when you keep looking at it, that period of time, history says that's an interesting stat that made me jump up and say that. But trends can be broken.
It's true. It's
okay.
True. First time for everything. Is there not?
What jerseys are they wearing? Is that a significant thing? Color seems to matter. True.
Okay. White teams in white tend to win, right? Yeah.
I got a little bit about that. So that's going on. But then Kansas City wore red last year. The white year before. So I'm not going to give that one so much credibility because it's been erased right now. And the fact that we got greatness could even change it again. However, to say that you have fatigue, you're not a football fan. You're not a real football fan.
Yeah, you're a phony.
You know what I mean? It was like someone said on one of those, I thought it was hilarious. And I'm going to give Hazy B the best shout out I can give him. You know, like if you ever listen to that, that's one when I watch Week, I watch Dear Hazy B because it's just funny.
Oh yeah, the stories they're none of them are true. They're just all ridiculous, right?
Okay. Oh yeah, but someone come up. So anyway, some guy come in and complain like, "Oh my God, Buffalo's lost so many times. I can't take it anymore. I couldn't eat for a week. I've decided I'm going to give up football and have another hobby. Can you guys help me out?" Hey, he said, "Shut up, buddy. You'll be there first game of the season next year. You're a loser." You know what I mean? I'm a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. How long have we been waiting? The glory will be worth it when you get to the end. So when you hear people talking like that, you got to say, it's like, okay, let's not compare it to the Four Nations because that's just a minor thing, and I've had my bitches about that. But when you're talking about this level of sports and fandom, who jumps off the bandwagon now?
No.
Only Toronto Blue Jays fan is 1994, but outside of that, okay.
Well, those guys weren't real fans anyways.
That's what I said to me. That's what made me more of a Jays guy, to tell you the truth. That's when I jumped on the Jays bandwagon because I could not believe what happened at that time in the city. I was stunned, absolutely stunned at the complete disregard for championships like that. I went, whoa, and where have you been since, Toronto? Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you say. So, that being said, I think this is going to be a great football game. I've been watching the pregame festivities. I've been looking at the injury reports. I've been looking at who's coming back. I've been looking at the numbers, which makes me say it's about time we made some predictions on this game.
And before we get to that, though, I just want to say a couple news points around the league. Myles Garrett asking for a trade out of Cleveland.
Going straight to Detroit City. We got the salary cap.
Okay.
We got the cap.
I would not be against that. And then Cooper Kupp reportedly told by the Rams that he will be traded.
That is the business of football, eh? Puka Nacua was on Pat McAfee, and they asked him about that. And Puka Nacua is a great personality. He's a fun guy. He was very subdued when he had to talk about the situation with Cooper Kupp. It's kind of sad. Like, look what that guy did for him. He won a Stanley Cup. I mean, Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He took the beating of a lifetime. He just won the Triple Crown. He's only 30 years old. He's a serviceable wide receiver for a lot of teams around the league. Buffalo. You know what I mean? I think it's a salary cap situation. They don't want to pay him to the next level, so you ship him off to another team. That's the business of football. A guy that wasn't he the MVP of the Super Bowl?
He was.
That's like 3 years ago. You're the MVP of a Super Bowl. And now you're persona non grata. We're going to put you out in the recycling bin. Whew. That's the stark reality about the football, especially in the NFL with the toughest salary cap going.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so let's do the props first, and then we'll get to the pick against the spread.
Okay.
So, first offensive play of the game, run or pass?
If it's Philadelphia, it's a pass.
I'm going to say it's a run.
Okay.
But you're going to say pass?
I'm going to say pass.
First accepted penalty against, I'm going to say Philly.
First accepted penalty?
Against. Who's it going to be against?
I say it's going to be against Kansas City.
Okay.
I'm going to call it a motion play because I'll be staring at all those dogs going, "Arr!" Something going to happen.
First score, touchdown, field goal, or I guess we could put safety in there as well.
First is going to be a field goal.
I agree with that.
Going to be a field goal. Someone's going to have one of those drives get stalled to kick a field goal.
Whoa, Stanley.
And the second play is going to be a touchdown, but the first one will be a field goal.
First team to score a touchdown, I'm going to say the Chiefs.
I'm going to say it's A.J. Brown.
Okay, well, you jumped ahead. So I was going to say the first player to score. So you're saying A.J. Brown. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say Kelsey.
Okay.
Will there be a score in the final 2 minutes of the first half? I'm going to say yes.
I agree.
Probably a field goal, if I had to guess.
Or a bomb trick play. Somebody's in there, yep.
Patrick Mahomes passing yards over under 255.5.
I say it's going to be over.
Yeah, I agree with that.
What's Jalen Hurts' line? About the same? I think he's going to throw for 250 too.
Hold on. So Travis Kelce receiving yards over under 62.5. I'm going to take the over.
I'm going to take the under.
I don't know. Could be his final game.
Whatever he does decide to do, good for him. He's had a great career, great life, good personality, good ambassador for the league. And I'm not even a Kelce guy.
Jalen Hurts passing yards over under 210.5. I'm going to take the over.
I'm taking the over too.
I think Philly's going to have to be forced to pass it a lot. I think Kansas City's going to force them in that way. I think they're going to have they're going to stack the box with 8 in there.
And we're going to get to that in a minute.
Longest Saquon Barkley run over under 29.5 yards. I'm going to take the under.
I'm going to take the under too. Watch him bust 60 in the first run. Make us look like fools.
Total sacks over under 4.5. I'm going to take the over.
I'm taking the over too all day. Then I'll explain why.
Because the guys are stacking the box. That's as simple as it is for me. Longest field goal over under 46.5 yards. I'm gonna take over. I'm gonna take the under.
I'm gonna take the over. Controlled environment in New Orleans in the Dome. It'll be over.
Total turnovers over under 2.5.
Every Super Bowl seems to get weird. I'm saying in this one that we're going to see, because there's the anomaly. These two are the best two teams at protecting the ball. I say we get 3 turnovers.
Yeah, I think this is gonna hit the over as well. What's next? Total score over under 48.5.
That's why Vegas is genius. That is the best line I've seen all year. I'm going to flip a coin. I'm thinking it's going to be like a 28-21 game. I'm going to say over.
So just barely over, you're saying?
Just barely over. I think it's going to squeeze over.
MVP, you said before the show.
A.J. Brown. You heard it here first. A.J. Brown is the MVP of the Super Bowl. He's going to have that book under his arm when he gets the trophy. He's going to run up the thing, the confetti's going down. He's going to run to the field. He's going to be jumping up and down. And he's going to have that self-help book. I don't get self-help books.
Different strokes for different folks.
Oh, the only time you self-help is usually when you're touching yourself. So come on, stop it. Speaking of strokes.
I'm going to say Mahomes for MVP.
All right.
Gatorade color or whatever.
Orange.
Orange, I'm going to say clear.
Orange, okay.
It's just going to be water. They're going to respect the coaches.
Oh, okay.
Not get the jackets too sticky.
They're waterproof.
But I thought I did pretty good. I kept Taylor Swift, Kendrick Lamar, and Drake out of the prop. So
thank you. That was a very good thing. We don't need any of those. Why you think that, Drake's going to show up?
No, his arch enemy is performing at halftime.
So they'll have world peace. Wouldn't that be? With all the things going on in the world today, Drake comes up in the middle.
There's supposed to be a big surprise. The joke online is that Kendrick's going to murder Drake in person there, but...
Oh, come on, stop it. We don't do that on the show, man. That's just bad press. I'm saying this way. Wouldn't that be great for the world with all the stuff going on, and Drake comes on stage with a...
yeah, and pigs will fly.
What do you call that bird? That dove. He comes on stage with a dove in a white... No, he can't wear a white suit because then it'll be all Diddy related. Okay, so
I don't want any of that.
Yeah, so we don't want there'll be no white suits today. He comes in some kind of Toronto-looking outfit and comes on with a dove, and the whole world has a kumbaya moment.
Wouldn't that be epic?
Oh, it would be off the charts. That'd be as big as a Luka AD trade. That would funny. The NFL would top it.
So last but not least, Cruz, we have had the same picks for every playoff game so far. Kansas City, Philly. Kansas City is favored by 1 single point. I'm on the Chiefs. I'm guessing you're on the Eagles?
Here we go, people. I'm bucking every trend that I told you historically that I just talked about that says all the things that are going to be against the Philadelphia Eagles. However, I've done a little bit of research on this, okay? First of all, let's just talk about this right now. Let's talk about Three guys that are going to make a difference. Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Quentin Mitchell. Remember those three names. You will hear them prominently on the game today because that front seven is so sick of hearing about what the greatness of the Kansas City Chiefs. They lost 2 years ago. They had some internal struggles last year. Remember they were 12-1, 13-1, and
the bottom fell out
completely. They went back together. They got some new coordinators. They've circled the
should also
wagon.
mention their OC is apparently in line to get the Saints job.
That's what they're saying.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll worry about that when the time comes. I'm predicting this. I'm predicting Philadelphia wins by 10, if not more, because that front seven is going to be so vicious. And listen, Kansas City's gotten away with that left side of their offensive line, moving Tunney over and shit like that. Oh, you got Jalen Carter going to be coming up that side with Buddy beside him. I forget the other guy's name, the D tackle. He's insane too. And then you got Nolan Smith over the top waiting in the gap. And by the way, the best hitting secondary in the NFL belongs to who? The Philadelphia Eagles. So what I'm saying is, if they don't have the running game that Philadelphia has, and the guy's going to come through, they're going to be nailing those guys. They're going to hit Kareem Hunt. They're going to hit Pacheco and all those guys. Whereas on the other side of it, when you're coming through the line, Kansas City's been known to have the speed secondary. So if you break through the line with Saquon and the guys that are blocking for him. You see the size of Devontae Smith? Do you see the size of AJ Brown? Do you see the size of Goddard? Those guys are all great downfield freaking blockers. So they're going to come through the line. They're going to eat up the clock because they're going to be able to run the game. But I think that most of the yards that Jalen Hurts is going to get first from stacking the box. And what's going to happen is going to make some big plays for AJ Brown. Saquon eats up the clock. Game over. Final score, 32-20.
I thought you just said it was going to be 28-21.
No, that's not enough because I got to get over 28-21. No, they're going to win by 10. So I'll say 30-20, and that gets me over the top, or 30-21.
Now, here's why Kansas City's going to win. A, they've been in this position all year. Everyone's been going for them. They've been in tight games all season. They know what it takes to win.
This ain't going to be a tight game.
Oh, I'm just saying. This is the situation it's in.
Okay.
I'm telling you it's going to be a tight game.
Okay. You're telling me the Four Nations is going to be the greatest hockey I've ever seen.
I never said that. I just said it's going to be worth watching, and you're going to be watching it. You can't deny that. You played yourself in this segment, too.
Okay, there you go.
Saying that you sound like the Kansas City haters.
I'm trying not to be.
Hey, number 2, Kansas City, they've been in the Super Bowl, 5 of the last 6 years now? Yeah. This is second nature to them. They're better at handling this than anybody. They have the extra week of rest. They know what to do with that.
So does Philadelphia, and Philadelphia has just been there before. They've said that the great thing about Philadelphia, and Sirianni said it, we've been there. We know what to expect. It's way better this time. Jalen Rose.
San Fran was saying that last year too, weren't they?
Yeah, they were there before too. But then again, they made the mistake in the end when they didn't go for the touchdown.
And more, it was a lot of the same story too. Oh, San Fran's a lot better. They got this running back that's going to help them get to the next level. Guess what? When they got to the game itself, reality slapped them in the face. I think Saquon's going to have a hard time tomorrow, or tonight rather, in the game. Kansas City's going to stack the box. Spagnuolo's going to make them play left-handed. The ball's going to be in Hurts' hand a lot.
AJ Brown.
But Jalen Hurts isn't exactly Mr. Clutch, is he?
He's played very solid. Last Super Bowl, if they had won, he was MVP.
But they didn't.
He's played a lot of big games in his career, and he's been usually better on most of the big games in his career. He's been on the winning side. Take away from national championship at Alabama, that's another story. But the bottom line is he's played a lot of big games in his career, and he's won most of them. I think they have enough experience. What is it? There's 20-some, 30 guys on the roster that were on the roster 2 years ago when they went to Super Bowl. It's 20 guys.
Okay, but how many guys from Kansas City were in the Super Bowl last year?
It's surprisingly, it's not as big as you would thought because of the roster switches and stuff like that. So I think
all the big guns are still there.
And all the big guns are still in Philadelphia.
And Kansas City won last time.
Okay, the difference is they didn't have Saquon Barkley this time. 2 years ago, they didn't have Saquon this time. They're going to be here. I just think that the gods of football, who are cruel at best, and I'm going to point out to you one that you're going to probably not like for me to reference. I could not see the 18-0 New England Patriots losing to the New York Giants.
I got you.
I could not see that coming. Unbelievable. One of the top, if not, except for maybe the Malcolm Butler play, the number 2 play all time in Super Bowl play is they had Eli in the backfield.
I know.
Eli and Rodney Harrison all over, what's the guy's name again? Tyreek, the guy that got the helmet
The receiver? Yeah, I forgot his name.
He'll live in infamy for that. So I'm just saying the gods of football can be very cruel at times. And if they didn't give it to the 18-0 New England Patriots, who I still consider one of the greatest football teams of all time, but you got Any Given Sunday that played in there, and a great over-their-head defense led by Michael Strahan, this could be the day that Philadelphia just changes the narrative. And I'm seriously believing the more they think about it, the more I've watched football, I don't think I predicted Super Bowl wrong in the last 10 years.
Oh, excuse you.
Okay, no, who did I pick last year?
You picked KC.
Okay, who did I pick the year before? I picked KC. Who did I pick the year before? The Rams. Who did I pick the year before? Tampa Bay. Okay, so I'm liking my run.
Okay, well, you got to be wrong sometime.
Well, that's why I'm saying we're bending the narrative here, and so it's going to change with Philadelphia too.
That sounds like you're maybe just overthinking it.
I have a tendency to do that sometimes when it comes to football, okay? So I'm just saying this. Remember at the end of the game, when they talk about the greatness of a defense and defense wins championships, I really think, and all those Georgia guys that have all those experiences in the big games in college too.
Don't forget about the DC for Kansas City, though.
I give him all the credit in the world, but people aren't giving enough credit to the D.C. and Philadelphia. That's Mr. Vic Fangio.
I don't agree with that at all. There's been a lot of talk about that Philly defense this week.
I'm saying that they're just dogs. Let them go. Let them rip. You're going to hear that Nolan Smith guy's name. Watch how many times you hear his name. He's one of the best linebackers side to side, and he goes down the field to go. And Quentin Mitchell and the kid and the other guy that made the Pro Bowl, the other secondary, those guys are headhunter hitters. You know what I mean? And when you're going downfield, what is Mahomes' biggest deep threat? I thought it was going to be Hopkins. It's Worthy, but Worthy's a slot guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so who are they going to go to the outside to when you got these two dogs that are some of the best cover guys in the league? So that's going to be a problem that Mahomes hasn't seen all year. So let's put in the factors here when you look at it like side by side. I heard it best. What's the difference in this game when you look at personnel and lineups? What are the two advantages that seem to be in Philadelphia's favor? I mean, in Kansas City's favor. There are two: quarterback and coach. Huge in context of the game. But it's a team game. So every one of those other elements have to be put in. And if you look at it on paper, Philadelphia has a check in the box for being better on all sides of all. O-line, Philadelphia.
But
defensive line, Philadelphia. Running back, Philadelphia. Wide receivers, Philadelphia. Tell me where I'm wrong.
It's the final game. Kansas City's going to pull out all the stops. They're not going to play this like a regular season game. Mahomes is going to go for he's going to go for a 30-yard run, I predict tonight. And he's got Kansas City has horseshoes up their asses.
I'm just saying, all good things must come to an end. And now let's get something straight. Let's get something straight here. I am no Philadelphia Eagle fan, so let's get that straight here right now. I am a completely bipartisan football guy who happens to be more of a junkie than most people, who's taken a look at it seriously. So I'll take a look at my credentials so far. Here's my number one credential. I wish we had a little thing like they do on the TV shows where they show the black spot where you say, what did you say about the Super Bowl? Let's go back to before the playoffs started. Who did I say had the best chance? Because Detroit was on the high there. Who is a team that I kept saying?
Philly.
Yeah, Philly. So I'm not going to jump off that bandwagon. When Detroit was at the highest and we're supposed to go to the Super Bowl, what was the team that I said?
Philadelphia.
So I'm not backing down from that. And the way they've come down the stretch and the way they played, I'm saying they win by 10.
Wow.
I'm going right to Pro Line props, and I'm taking Philadelphia plus for $2. In any event, first and foremost, we hope everybody else enjoys the game. I hope there's no hater comments. The number one thing I'm hoping, which we didn't bring up, because we didn't even want to go there because it was so stupid, I hope there's no controversial calls.
I hope not either.
So notice we were very nice that we skirted that subject. That's the only thing that we're saying about it, because that rhetoric is completely out of hand. Now, is there circumstances that might say, and you guys, I hope you don't even know what we're talking about, but I just hope no controversial play causes the game.
Absolutely not. Let's move this to our closing. So we have a couple trivia questions by Steven. I have a trivia question for you, Cruz.
Okay.
So, trivia question number 1 by Steven. Everton's Abdoulaye Doucouré scored the fastest opening goal by a home team in Premier League history. How soon into the game did it happen?
16 seconds.
Okay, 10.18.
Oh, I know. I heard about that recently. I thought it was under. I should have said under 15. It was 10 point something?
10.18.
And that wasn't a lot long ago, was it?
No.
Yeah, I thought it was under 15 seconds. But yeah, okay. I'll remember that. What was the guy's name again? Everton?
Abdoulaye Doucouré.
Okay.
Everton's the team.
Okay. I won't forget that.
All right. Number 2. Super Bowl teams wearing white have won how many times in the last 20 years? Oh.
80%, I think it is. 75 at least.
Yeah,
So
I'm going to
20
say 15.
I'll say 14.
16, you were right first, 80%.
Oh, 80%, yeah.
So my question for you is,
Okay.
there have been 5 NFL quarterbacks to host Saturday Night Live. Name all 5. I'll give you 3 strikes.
Okay, I'm going to get this. Drew Brees?
Nope.
Okay.
That's 1 strike.
Oh, gee. Aaron Rodgers.
That's 2 strikes.
Oh, so I got Brady.
Yep.
Both Mannings.
Yep.
Brady, both Mannings. Let me think. Kurt Warner.
That's 3 strikes.
Oh, God. No, okay, let me think. Who am I missing here?
Okay, I'll give you...
No.
Okay.
Let me think that. I just thought they were so obvious. Who did I say? Both Mannings.
And Brady.
And
So Warner, no. Rodgers, no. And Breeze, no.
And Favre, no.
No Favre.
Let me go back. Terry Bradshaw?
No.
It was a Dallas quarterback.
No.
Wow. I'm trying to think. Because it could have been Roman Gabriel or somebody like that way back in the day, but it wasn't there. So let me think. So we got both Mannings and we got Brady. Who in the hell am I missing? And no Drew Brees.
Nope.
Oh, okay. Let me think. Because it would be Jim McMahon.
Nope.
Oh, wow. Let me think. Got to be an L.A. quarterback.
No.
Got to be an L.A.
No.
Raider?
Nope. At least I don't think so.
Let me think for a minute. Roger Staubach didn't get there. Tony Romo didn't do it.
No.
I'm thinking of all the great quarterbacks. Dan Marino.
Nope.
Who am I missing at the top? We talk about the top quarterback. Aikman?
Nope.
Okay, I give up. Who am I missing?
Joe Montana.
Oh, Joe, I forgot.
And
Joe.
Fran Tarkington.
You know why I didn't say Fran Tarkington?
Because the Viking.
I hate the motherfucker. I should have known that. You know why? Back in the day, I knew it was going to be an old guy in this respect. He was on a lot of TV shows.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was like, what was that show he did with John Davidson and the girl? Nothing's Impossible, or some show about shit that never happens, but it happens. Like one of those shows. I should have known Frank Tarkington. I cannot believe that Aaron Rodgers wasn't one.
Yeah, never hosted.
Wow. Should have known Joe Montana. I forgot he was terrible. He was absolutely. He admitted it.
That's why no one talks about Peyton Manning. Meanwhile, that's like one of the greatest.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You ever seen
Brady was stiff.
Yeah, he was. The Peyton Manning one. He has one of the greatest all time like fake commercials where it's like a United Way ad.
Greatest ever.
You've seen that, right?
Where he's showing the footballs at the kids. Catch the ball.
Yeah. Started like in the back of their heads.
Oh yeah. You know the greatest thing is I was never a Peyton Manning fan, and you probably weren't either. Being Indianapolis,
I hated his teams.
When you say they are the first family of football, you got to give them all the respect in the world, because
for sure.
Those guys are like they're Manning cast, being in the commercials, what they've done for the Pro Bowl. Eli has turned out to be even crazier personality just because he's got that Eli whatever it is. Like when he did the commercial he does right now where he changed his name to Eli Toyota Manning.
Yeah.
That's just, and the way he delivers it. You know what I mean? We should do a big shout out to Snoop Dogg for hosting
the NFL awards.
This guy's everywhere.
Oh, we didn't even mention that.
It's what?
The awards.
Well, okay.
Well, I guess we mentioned a little bit, but
do you think that it should have been Lamar over Josh Allen?
I was an Allen guy the whole way.
Okay, well, here's the biggest thing in that. That's another anomaly that might help Philadelphia. Do you know that it's the first time that a quarterback was named first team All-Pro and did not win the Super Bowl? Or did not win the MVP?
Yep.
Josh Allen was not. He was number 2. Number 1 was Lamar Jackson. He was there. I think it is when you look at the in context of the teams and their structure and before the season where they're predicted to be and everything, that's why you gave it to Josh Allen. Obviously, you knew he was going to get it because when the award show started the other night, Lamar was nowhere to be found.
Oh, really?
He was nowhere to be found. But Snoop Dogg was outrageous. First of all, when he got Roger Goodell to rap, that was just amazing.
I didn't watch any of this, so.
The greatest line of the night was, and I don't know how he got away with this, because it was the jokes about being high and this, that, and the other thing. And he goes, and you know, back in the day when they played football, like when the dynasties were here, I think it was about 25, 27 years ago when the trend changed it, just before Bill Belichick's girlfriend was born. And you know what? I'm going to just tell my wife, who questions and complains a little bit all the time. I'm not even going to bring it up. Some of the things I said, like, when people are happy, let them be happy, regardless of the situation. And don't be judging when you see somebody and what's going on. Mm-hmm. We don't know what's happening. Whenever you say about this, always remember 2 things in life, and I on this show like this. If you don't think a man can change, Robert Downey Jr., Exhibit A of all time, okay? And number 2 is never question the ethics of any couple, even though they're married this week and they're next, because my first time doing that in life was way back in the day when Keith Richards met Patty Hansen. I went, oh my God, I had a Patty Hansen poster on my wall. She was a Sports Illustrated bikini model.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what's Keith Richards going to do with Patty Hansen? Oh, by the way, they're married 45 years now with 3 kids and everything's better, so you can never judge. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it was very, very interesting. So where are you going to watch the game today?
I'm going to a friend's house tonight, Amal, with my buddy Steph, and we're both going there tonight. That's
going to be a good thing. I heard you're going to Mississauga, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm supposed to go to Mississauga too, Zach, and pick and the boys. I'm not sure. How's the weather look getting over there and getting back?
I don't think there's going to be any more snow.
No, I think we're going to be good that way. All I want to say is that, let's put it this way. I hope it's the second best Super Bowl of all time, so in the future there'll be one better. How's that?
Okay.
That's a Cruiseism. Number 2 is, of all the things that's going on in the planet right now, let's continue to be proud Canadians.
100%.
And not negative nannies. Is that the way to put it?
Yes, sir.
Is there anything else we would say about it?
That is just about it.
Can we...
Happy Super Bowl, everybody.
Happy Super Bowl to everybody. Hope the food is good and the beer is cold. And big shout out for Stanley for only being a 20% nuisance as usual for you. How's that?
Absolutely.
Okay, so we know where we're here right now. Thanks for listening. Give us a like, a lump, and a jump. If you remember me, a bartender down there, he's got a podcast called More Bumps Ahead. He's going to promote ours. I'm going to promote his.
All right. I'm Andrew Milani.
Hi, my name is Cruz.
What do?
We keep the vibe alive.
You can find The House That Happens on Podbean, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeart Radio, Player FM, Samsung, Podchaser, Boomplay, YouTube, and SoundCloud. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at The House That Happens, and follow us on Twitter at House Happens. You can also shoot us an email at thehousethathappens@gmail.com.